Hey, yo, Quantic, run them bands up.
Barilla, what the fuck is this?
Hello, double hello. We're on for all the things now. Live streaming at Dan from the Internet on YouTube. Ravana, I almost said Ray Stravana. Ray Stravana, the spaghetti. This is what a time to be alive, y'all. This has been since October 7th. This has been one of the more depressing times I've done news. Followed by the past 24 hours, which have been quite jubilant. Just by online news. What is a little no reason. Just there are a couple of packs we'll be hitting on today. But
you guys got narcotics and stuff. Damn, I got Trader Joe's crackers and water. Y'all got the wine and the weed. Damn. The body of Christ.
Yeah, those are good crackers, though.
Who was that? Wasn't there an ad of like some guy in the '60s going like, "That's a good cracker," talking about Ritz crackers, like a white dude? Who was it?
You're doing this too early, Dan. It's too early.
Okay. It's not too early for what I said earlier about my debate prediction, but either way, it's supposed to be on Fox News. I'm watching it in my other screen. I'll get it up in a moment. I don't know. This is a weird one. These people aren't running for president. I mean, Ron Desantis is, but he's not. And
kind of.
I guess technically, Gavin Newsom, governor of California. Bam and I are based in California. I've talked a lot about Power Report about Gavin Newsom. I've talked about things that I've enjoyed he's done. I've talked about how double standardy he is, and increasingly more double standardy over the past couple of it. Bam was rolling his eyes because Larry Elder is his real governor. He doesn't even believe Gavin Newsom won this debate.
Dan is a secret Gavin Newsom lover. He loves Gavin Newsom. Doesn't want to admit it. It's fine.
No, I don't. I just don't get how you've done this show with me, and that's the takeaway. There may have been
you love him. It's a secret though. I've seen through it. I love Beto. You love Gavin Newsom.
How can you not?
I mean, I just see what Kimberly Guilfoyle saw, so that is what I'm putting out there. No,
it's so crazy that Don Jr. has Gavin Newsom's sloppy seconds, though. Like, also, I made a video that and it was not about her, but I made a video for Rebel HQ that she was in because I guess she's a Fox News host now, or has been, or she's a fill-in host or something. But she was interviewing somebody, and she's looking not human anymore at this point.
Really?
It's rough. She was in the video for maybe 30 seconds, and it was a 7-minute video. Every comment was about her face. And
Are we going blue that early? Come on. I was told this would be a highbrow broadcast. Now, excuse me. Well, my prediction for this debate: the governor of California engaging in adult proclivities with the wife of the governor of Florida. That's my prediction. On stage, Gavin's gonna like hook his leg over the podium, just like get some work in. There, we just got all out.
Fox News are gonna let it play.
They would. I'm just looking at Jesse
I would
Waters.
do and say much more, but like I'm just gonna.
I'm looking in the background and I just see Jesse Waters, just pathetic face. I can't believe he's. Oh, it's in 4 minutes, so I've got a nice little time down here. But I don't know. This is a good 4 minutes to go through the whole Kissinger thing. I mean, like, we can't do it all in 4 minutes, but just like I've seen fewer of the hey, let's not disrespect a person or talk ill will of the dead. I've seen a lot less of that right now because I think there are a lot of people who say that who don't want to die on this hill. I think even Joe Biden released a statement where, you know, these are White House press statements. They go through multiple different people. Usually they're very, standard. The nation stands with this person. They were a great American, etc. The shade that was in the Biden one was like, Joe Biden remembers Henry Kissinger. A lot of times they disagreed. Like I'm paraphrasing. It's like a lot of times they disagreed, and even after he was out of office, he still gave his. They didn't say this in the thing, but this is implied. They still gave his unsolicited advice about foreign policy. And the best part was like
he remembers.
Good.
I love that it's like he remembers Henry Kissinger because like Joe Biden's pretty fucking old. I think that every day the White House should just put out a statement of like, who are the people that Joe Biden remembers today? Joe Biden remembers Barack Obama. Sometimes.
He didn't remember his socks though. So.
I remember Joe announcing Barack as Barack America in 2008 when they were running for president, and Joe Biden himself, that was his first day on the VP nominee job. That was his first speech. Ladies and gentlemen, the next vice president of the United States, Barack America. He also said vice president.
Perfect. No fucking notes. Joe Biden, and because all of these clips came out when like, and it's so funny that they used these to defend him during his presidential run in 2020 because the libs were like, no, he's not old. He's just always made gaffes like this. Here's an example of the time he said Indians own gas stations.
Oh my God.
He's never been articulate, folks. He's always been like this.
Well, let me say this real fast before we go into the debate. Henry Kissinger, like the one thing I know and remember about him is that he got punked really hard by Bashar Assad's dad.
Yep.
He like went to Syria to go like meet up, and they like left him waiting for like hours, and like gave him like the shitty hotel, and the call to prayer comes in. It's like 4 a.m, and it's like the mosque is like right next to his door. Like they just like treated him like shit. They had like some like painting of the Muslims beating the Crusaders like in his room, and it was great. And I know like he probably was like, I'm gonna get y'all back, and he did.
he got the last laugh and kept laughing and kept laughing.
He got the last
until
laugh actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more if we have time, or at least I will, about the legacy of Henry Kissinger and kind of how that style of politics leads directly to what's been going on with Israel-Palestine, because there's a lot of ties and direct connections to that. Really fast, I saw a really good tweet asking this question. Who's the next supervillain of history? Like, who's the next, like...
Can you mute the video? Because I can't hear you.
Oh, I thought... My bad. I thought it's muted on my end, but... I was asking who's the next supervillain, if it's not Henry Kissinger, if he's already dead.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
It's not Anthony Blinken. He's like, he sucks, but he's like too much of a pussy, you know? Like, he's too much, you know, like Ivy League sort of preppy trained to be like a Henry Kissinger. I'm gonna genocide people because I don't think their women are fuckable, right? He's not that level. It's hard. I've been stewing on this all day. I don't know who it is.
I just looked up to see if Zabrinsky's still alive. He's not. So I'm gonna have to say, is it Hillary Clinton?
No. And people say Dick
Like, she
Cheney.
was
Like, I don't
Secretary of
know if Dick Cheney has the scoreboard.
Oh yeah, Dick Cheney. I forgot about Dick Cheney. No, it's Dick Cheney. It's Dick Cheney. It's Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
It's Dick Cheney. He didn't die? Oh, Rumsfeld died.
Yeah, Rumsfeld died. Colin Powell too.
Colin gets a pass.
let's go into this debate, shall we?
No pun intended.
Unmute.
Let's do it.
Hang on, I can't hear. Oh, you know what's definitely
Looking vampiric today, Governor Newsom.
Oh, that's the usual.
And deep and profound differences in your approach to governance. And before we begin, one quick note to all of you that are watching at home. Okay, I'm now the longest running primetime cable host in the history of cable news. I'm now, and I feel blessed, in my 28th year at Fox. It's kind of widely known that I
jerking
am a
himself in the
conservative.
beginning of the debate.
However, tonight I will
Is
be
he jerking
moderating
himself
this
off
debate.
right
I will
now?
not be part of the debate. Our questions tonight will be coming from well-sourced, fact-centered perspectives, and you will see and hear most of tonight's questions will deal with the most fundamental issues, the ones that impact the lives
First
of the
question,
people that
do
make this
penises
country
give
great.
you an advantage
The
in
people
chess?
Florida, the people
30
in California,
seconds.
and in many ways, every state in the country. We'll discuss taxes, the economy, immigration, crime, guns, homelessness, education, parental rights, abortion, gas prices. In other words, the things that impact you every single
All
day.
at once.
In the end, you will get to decide which governing philosophy you believe is better. The governors will explain their governing philosophy. And again, fact-based questions. So let's get started. Everybody ready? All right. As we speak, there is a phenomenon. It is playing out across the entire country. Americans, they are leaving blue states in droves in favor of red states.
Important,
you can see numbers on the
well-researched
screen right
questions,
now
guys.
from the years 2021 and 2022. These particular numbers are stark in the state that you lead. In the case of you, Governor Newsom, according to the U.S. Census, this is where the numbers come from. In 2021, 2022, California's lost 750,000 residents to other states. Governor Desantis, during that same 2-year period, you gained 454,000 residents from other states. So, Governor DeSantis, we had a coin toss. I was not part of it. I missed it. But apparently, Governor Newsom, you won the coin toss. And you chose to let Governor DeSantis have the first question.
I didn't need to know you didn't see it, Hannity.
So I begin with you. For Governor Newsom, I will ask,
Gavin
what your response is on this as well. It's a simple question. How do you explain this phenomenon? Governor, what's going on?
When I was in the Navy, I got orders to go to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in Southern California. And I was a lifelong Floridian, but I went there and I was like, man, this is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And I think California has more natural advantages than any state in the country. You almost have to try to mess California up. And yeah, that's what Gavin Newsom has done since he's been governor. He's the first governor to ever lose population. They actually, at one point, ran out of U-Hauls in the state of California because so many people were leaving. Of course, he's imposed restrictions on his own people while exempting himself from those restrictions and going to the French Laundry while his people were suffering.
Is there still
he
a
led the
lockdown in
country
California?
school closures,
Yes.
locking kids out of school while he had his own kids in private school in person. Now, he's very good at spinning these these tales. He's
Okay.
good at being slick
DeSantis
and
is letting too much
He'll still
ammo
tell
out
a
of the
blizzard
clip
of lies
already,
to be able to
and
try
that's
to
going to
mask
be
the
his demise,
failures.
I think.
But the reality is they have failed.
That's half
because
of what
his
Fox News has
leftist
said about Gavin for the
ideology.
past 2 years.
Literally.
And the choice for America is this.
Literally.
What Biden and Harris and Newsom want to do is take the California model and do that nationally. In Florida, we showed that conservative principles work. This country must choose freedom over failure.
Governor Newsom, your reaction.
Well, it's good to be with you, Sean. It's nice also to see you in a tie as well tonight. Good to be with you, Ron. And
I dressed up for the occasion, Governor.
No, I'm impressed and I'm grateful. Look, it's an important occasion. This is
So
an
much more
important
charming than
conversation,
DeSantis, by the way.
I think it's important to the folks watching. They're probably wondering, what are we actually doing here? And I want to answer that very directly. I'll tell you why I'm here. I'm here to tell the truth about the Biden-Harris record and also compare and contrast Ron DeSantis' record and the Republican Party's record as a point of contrast that's as different as daylight and darkness. You want to bring us back to a pre-1960s world, America in reverse. You want to roll back hard-earned national rights on voting rights, on civil rights, on LGBTQ rights, on women's rights, not just access to abortion, but also access to contraception. You want to weaponize grievance. You are focusing on false separateness. You in particular, Ron, are on a banning binge, a cultural purge, intimidating and humiliating people you disagree with. You and
It's the
President
smartest
Trump
decision he could have
really
made
trying
to just
light
ignore the
democracy on
question
fire.
and
So,
get in
Sean,
his
there are
opening
profound differences tonight,
statement.
and I look forward to engagement. But there's one thing in closing that we have in common is neither of us will be the nominee for our party in 2024.
Governor, great opening statement, but
Didn't
it did
answer
not
the question.
it
I mean,
didn't
I think-
address the issue. Can you explain this migration out of California and going to red state, blue state?
Well, hold on. You mean the last 2 years, more Floridians going to California than Californians going to Florida?
No, I put up on. I put
That's
up on
just,
the
by the
screen.
way, that's going to be fun to fact check. So we'll just start right there. California has no peers. California dominates, size of 21 state populations combined. It's the fifth largest economy in the world. We dominate, #1 manufacturing state. We dominate in two-way trade and research and development, access to innovation, more scientists, more researchers, more engineers, more Nobel laureates in the state of California than any other state in the nation, the finest system of higher education. It's the birthplace of life science,
that,
and
Illinois.
biotech and nanotechnology.
Shut the fuck up. We have J.B. Pritzker.
We dominate
He's a
in
good
high-tech.
governor.
We dominate in
I'm
artificial
wearing his-
intelligence. So with respect, I think it's an interesting campaign strategy for Ron DeSantis to be bashing a state of 40 million Americans when California simply has no peers.
Well, that's a pretty slick way of not answering your question. He went on a binge of putting out a lot of left-wing platitudes. Here's what I would say. I talked to a lot of the people that have moved from California to Florida, and we never used to get people from California to Florida or really anywhere in the East, because why would you leave California? It's got the best weather, great natural forces. Excuse me, sir. But one of the things that I did, I was talking to a gentleman, a couple.
Guys, I'm going to let the debate breathe. But it's his turn. Let's take turns.
So I was talking to a fella who had made the move from
Ron
California
DeSantis
to
is getting
Florida.
pissed.
And he was telling me that
He's
Florida is much
getting
better governed, safer,
He's trying to
better
remember his talking
budget,
point.
lower taxes, all this stuff. And he's really happy with the quality of life. And then he paused and he said, by the way, I'm Gavin Newsom's father-in-law. So we do count Gavin's in-laws as some of the people that have fled California and come to the state of Florida. And why are we getting people to come? We have a 50-year low in the crime rate. You don't see, in the last 10 years, we've had a 45% decline in homelessness. California's had a 45% increase in homelessness. We back the blue. I was walking the streets of San Francisco a couple months ago, and I had some of the cops in San Francisco do a beeline to come over to me, and I didn't know what they were going to say. And they're like, we want to thank you for standing for law enforcement, because we don't get that support in the state of California. So people understand the quality of life matters. They understand that Florida's doing it right. And I can tell you the numbers speak for themselves.
And that man was
Way
Ronald
more
Reagan.
people moving to this state than leaving. Gavin can't say the opposite. More people are leaving California than are moving into California.
Let me bring up
coming to California the other way around the last 2 years. But let's talk about crime.
Governor, hold on.
I think this
Governor, wait a minute.
I think
hold on a second.
He said a lot of things that were factually untrue, including that 50-year crime low, which his own law enforcement team said you should not be using.
You have yet to address the issue, but I asked you twice. You don't want to answer it. But the issue of why the migration out of red states, out of blue states.
We just established more Floridians coming to California in the last 2 years than the
overall. You had a net loss
of 7.
It's a fact.
Just asserted it.
It's a fact.
No, it's not a fact.
It is a fact.
Moving on. Let's go. Your states have vastly different income tax rates. Okay, it is what it is. These are the facts. California's highest rate for top earners, 13%. Married couple, for example, in California, earning a median income of $84,000, they have a 6% income tax in the state of California. Florida's income tax rate is 0% across all salaries, but it goes beyond income taxes. Property taxes are lower in California, but everything else is higher. Let's take a look at the numbers. These are the facts. The average property tax in California, 0.75%, Florida, 0.91%. Sales tax, California, 7.25%, Florida, 6%. Gas tax rate, California, 77 cents a gallon. That
way too many numbers for the Fox audience. You can tell that Murdoch's not there anymore. There's got to be like a number of numbers, and that number has to be 3.
There's 7,000 wokeness in California and 0 in Florida.
Florida has like 400 boobies.
Higher taxes.
Yes. No, hold on.
No, this is a tax question, Governor.
This is a very different approach, and I agree with you completely. He has one of the most regressive tax rates in the United States of America. It's the number 3 most regressive state in America. And what that means is simply this. Who does he tax? He taxes low-income workers more than we tax millionaires and billionaires in the state of California. The question is a simple one. Who, Ron, are you for? It's a factual lie that the state of California is high tax, has the highest tax rate, but for whom? And it's a foundational and fundamental difference. You look at states like Texas, overwhelming majority of Texans pay more taxes than the state of California. So again, it's who you're for. And I think those values matter. And I appreciate you bringing up the issue of taxes.
How many people leave Florida to go to California because they pay less taxes? I've not seen that. Are people going from Florida to New York because they pay less tax?
You can't say that after he just cooked you on that issue. He said that there's more Floridians leaving Florida to go to California. You can't say that immediately after he just fucking cooked you on that issue.
And I was looking into that stat. It's like a per capita versus regular like people thing. Because in raw numbers, it's California to Florida, but Florida has 17 million fewer people. So there's an argument to be made there. I think it's a little bit tricky with the facts. I mean, like with the data, but. How to lie with statistics.
Nothing more than to get 4 more years to be able to take the California model nationally. That would be disastrous for working people in this country.
We'll talk about working people. They pay more in your state than the state of California charges for billionaires and millionaires. And it's just a value proposition.
True.
It's a fact. Again, you can't make
You
these
have
things
$6
up.
or $7 a gallon gas. How do they afford that? These are folks that are blue-collar people. They're going to force everybody to buy an electric vehicle. How are they going to be able to afford electric
The $7 gas is in Beverly Hills. In the hood, that shit's $3.
California, they have one of the highest inequality rates because, they've got Silicon Valley billionaires. They've got a lot of very wealthy people. They've got a lot of people that are on government assistance, but they've hollowed out their middle class. That's who's been leaving California. They've been leaving in other places. They go to Arizona. They go to Nevada. They go to all these places.
Let me just
like Biden is hollowing out this country.
I do have a follow-up question.
In California.
Ron, I'm happy that you continue to talk. Let's talk a little bit about Bidenomics, because I'm happy to take that on right now as well. And I think it's a fair point.
You're a big supporter of it. I appreciate you acknowledging
14 million jobs, 10 times more than the last 3 Republican presidents combined.
Because he had
815,000 manufacturing
the jobs were because of the COVID
3.9%.
lockdowns. Are you kidding me?
3.9% unemployment. As he continues to talk over me, I'll talk to the American people. 3.9% unemployment, the lowest black unemployment in American history, the lowest unemployment for Hispanics in American history, the lowest unemployment for women in 70 years, the lowest black poverty rates in history. That's this administration's agenda. And by the way, as you smile and smirk over there, you should know this, the American people. Here's a guy who celebrated Bidenomics just this week, celebrating $28 million that came into your state because of the CHIPS and Science Act, one of the most significant economic plans since FDR. I'm proud of the work Biden and Harris have done.
Would you like to respond? And I do have a follow-up. The 6% rate on people, families, couple in California, they pay 6%
Can you turn the
income
video
tax
volume
on
up a little bit? The audience
$84,000 a
wants to
year.
know.
Low-wage workers in the state of Florida pay more than
I
billionaire state of
didn't ask about Florida.
Governor,
But here's let me ask the question.
Spinning lies
Let me ask the
be
question.
able to try to cover for his
Ron, if I may
Let him
ask,
answer, and then I'll
may
let you
answer the
respond.
question.
Okay.
California has lower taxes, lower than 32 states for working families in the middle class, significantly lower
So
taxes
you
than
support
places
that? That's what
like
you say.
Texas.
You support a 6% income tax for people, a couple
I'm
making
against
$84,000.
regressive taxes that advantage billionaires and millionaires over working families and the working poor. People in his state pay more taxes on the low end than we tax people on the high
How
end.
does
That's
paying
a fact.
$7 a gallon
Proposition.
gas help working people? That doesn't help working people at all. How does paying an 8% sales tax help working people? That doesn't help working people at all. They have the highest taxes in the nation. People flee to be able to save money to get out of California. And you have working class people that move to these other states. Their dollars go much further. But here's the thing. They want to take this Bidenomics and they want to double down on this for the next 4 years. How many people are able to afford groceries now compared to what you were doing 3 or 4 years ago? I talked to people, I talked to a woman who had a cart full of groceries going in, and they're ringing it up. And it got to be so expensive, she has to take a lot of the stuff out. That didn't used to be the case. People used to be able to work hard and get ahead. That is not true under Joe Biden. And you know what, Sean, one more final thing. California's unemployment rate is 60% higher than Florida's unemployment rate. Our unemployment rate is 2.8%.
That dovetails into my next question,
Why?
Governor.
Because it's a command and control economy. They have a political agenda that they're pursuing.
Let me
at
ask
the
that
expense of
question.
People.
On with the question of jobs. I think it's important. You know what? That affects.
By the way,
that affects everybody.
Biden administration, the last 3 years, it's been a master
Joe Biden paying you tonight?
3.9%.
I thought this was state versus state.
No, but it's about the United States of America. I thought this guy was running for president of the United States. If
You
you're
are
running
too.
For
You just won't
admit
admit it.
running for a third term?
You just won't admit it. You will not admit it. Why don't you
All right,
just
gentlemen.
admit that you're
But
running?
hold on.
All right, we can't talk. We can't talk. I'm going to move on to the next
hovering.
question.
He's running.
The unemployment rate in Florida right now is just 2.8%, as you stated. And California ranks second worst in the country at 4.8%. Hold on. This question goes to Governor DeSantis, and then you'll have a chance to respond. Governor DeSantis.
Well, right. I mean, they tax too much. They regulate too much. They have a political agenda. It's not a good climate for business. They've lost a lot of companies. A lot of companies have moved to Texas. We have had some to Florida, but they've lost a lot of companies to Texas because they're not doing a good job looking out for folks and not creating a good business environment. And, when I have people that come to Florida, they tell me, you guys actually want us to succeed in Florida. And they feel like when they're in California, they don't want business to succeed.
Is that what Disney's
and all that
saying,
stuff.
the Tampa Bay Rays?
Well, actually, yeah. I think that's an interesting point with Disney because I had Disney open during COVID and we made them a fortune and we saved a lot of jobs. You had Disney closed inexplicably for over a year. You were not following science. You were a lockdown governor. You did a lot of damage to your people. You had more kids locked out of school for a longer period of time in California than anywhere else in the country. It was the working class kids. It was the middle income kids. His kids were in private school. They were in class in person.
We'll get to COVID.
He locked people out because of the teachers union. He is owned by the teachers union. You will never cross the teachers union.
This is just a lot of hot air.
Stock and barrel.
Let's talk about COVID. Let's talk about your record on COVID. You passed an emergency declaration before the state of California did. You closed down your beaches, your bars, your restaurants.
False.
It's a fact. You had quarantines.
False.
You had quarantines. You had checkpoints all over the state of Florida. By the way, I didn't say that. Donald Trump laid you out on this, dead to right. You did that.
True.
You followed science. You followed Fauci.
That's not false.
He followed science. He followed Fauci. You were
why
promoting.
Did everyone leave
hold on. You
California
were
to come to
promoting
Florida
vaccines.
because we were open.
You were promoting
We were
vaccines. You
open.
even
We were
wore a
closed.
mask in
We were
September.
open.
Sean,
You were closed.
If it's okay with you, we'll do this.
Why were you closed?
Why don't we do
for
this
so
in a way
long?
where we both can have
Why were you closed for
opportunity?
so long?
You wore
You
a
were
mask
closed.
with
Guys,
Donald
guys,
Trump
closed.
outside
I'm trying to let it breathe.
in September
Gavin,
2020. He did all of
Governor
that
Newsom.
until he decided to fall prey to the fringe of his party. And as a consequence of that, Ron, tens of thousands of people lost their lives.
Not true.
The equivalent, if I had your policies,
Not
the
true.
equivalent of 10 9/11s. Tens of thousands of people lost their lives. And for what, Ron?
Those are more
Gavin
lies.
hit
In
him with the
fact, the
9/11.
Lancet just did a study. Florida had a lower standardized COVID death rate than California did. That's a Lancet study. Yeah, one more thing.
99%
The other
higher
thing
death
we
rate
had,
in the state of
the other
Yeah,
thing
what does that
California
mean?
had,
Your
California had
record is one
higher
of
excess
failure
mortality
on
than
COVID.
than
All right,
Florida.
gentlemen.
Let me talk about the excess mortality real quick.
Honestly,
because the
hold on a
excess
second.
mortality
because
is other
I
things.
want to ask you both. Slow down. I want everyone to be heard. If I can ask you, I really do want this to breathe. I want this debate to breathe. I want it to organically develop. To do that, I need both your cooperation. I don't want to be a hall monitor. It's not my style, all right? You mentioned COVID. Let me go to COVID. And I plan to bring this up later, but you both took very different approaches as it comes to COVID. Governor Newsom, you issued the nation's first stay-at-home order on March 19th of 2020. Governor Desantis, you took a lot of heat for reopening schools. You opened schools in Florida in August of 2020. All right, so here's the data, which I think is important. This is where the facts come in. Your state's death rates were almost identical.
This is factually untrue.
Hold on.
Factually untrue.
Okay. And by the way, both your states, with such different approaches, which is pretty fascinating, were both lower, significantly lower than the national average. These numbers come straight from the CDC. Yeah. So, Governor Newsom, how do you explain that?
The facts. Per capita death rates in the state of Florida were 29%, 29% per capita higher. 29%.
That's not what the stats say right there.
Tens of thousands of people unnecessarily
died.
died.
He put the graphic up there. Don't lie about it.
Unnecessarily
you don't need to lie about it.
Because your policies.
Just understand.
You're lying
you don't need to lie
record.
about it. No, it's not.
You were a lockdown governor.
No, it's
you locked down.
Right, one at a time. Gavin Newsom, finish your thought.
Beaches, bars, and restaurants. That's just a fact. He's running away from his record. He's running away from the fact. Tens of thousands of people died unnecessarily
the CDC
because he
numbers.
caved to it's 29% higher death rate in the state of Florida versus the state of California.
Okay, quick response, Governor.
You showed the stats. The stats are very clear.
One at a time.
On a per capita age-adjusted basis, California and Florida basically the same. Now, why is that important? Because Gavin Newsom did huge damage to people in California. He ruined livelihoods. We reopened the state very quickly. We saved thousands of jobs. We saved hundreds of thousands of jobs, thousands of businesses. We had our kids in school. He had the kids locked out of school because of the teachers union. That is having a generational impact. California has one of the lowest literacy rates in the country. In the most recent NAEP exam, Florida came in number 3 for 4th grade reading. California was far, far behind. So you should apologize for not getting your kids in school. Why didn't you get the kids in school in the summer of 2020 like we did? You bowed to the teachers union. You didn't do the job you should have done.
All right,
the only person
one at a time, quick answer,
is Ron DeSantis for the tens of thousands of lives that died unnecessarily because he played to the fringe of his party.
We got to take a break. And finish your thought.
No, and when it comes to the issue of schools, you better be careful. You had more learning loss during COVID than the national average in the state of California. It's a fact. More learning loss. Your economy contracted more in 2020.
Quick break.
Expanded slower than California in 2021. More to come on this topic.
More to come on this debate. I know it's starting off.
Next segment, I guess.
It's been rather dull at the start, but anyway, we got a lot to get to. Coming up, many important topics that we're going to be talking about, including one issue where we might find some agreement, actually, as we continue the blue state, red state debate. We are live. We are in Alpharetta, Georgia. Thank you for being with us.
Whose idea was this?
I'm sorry, I can't stand the music. I don't know whose I think it was DeSantis' idea, which I imagine.
No, I mean,
here to do this. Yeah, I'm gonna take that one. So, first of all, what I can see from this is, it's like the SNL beginning, where Sean Hannity was like, I know I'm a conservative host, but guess what? I'm going to be very down the middle with this. Gavin Newsom, why'd you fuck your best friend's wife? Like, it's
I'm gonna be super fair. Ron DeSantis, why is your cock so big?
And why is it on my face?
The second thing is that there's a lot of, sly digs that Gavin Newsom, he's a tricky, greasy Gavin, out super in, he's out super in the streets right now, using a lot of Trump's talking points against Ron DeSantis. And you got to remember that Ron DeSantis was pimping his baby out for Trump ads back in 2018. That's always funny. But he is kind of surrogating out there for Joe Biden. So he's doing a very useful thing for the Democratic Party itself, which is like typical Gavin Newsom. He's a Democratic Party like player through and through. Emphasis on player.
Yeah, honestly, this is rough. Like, I don't even care about these two people that much, but I do feel like Gavin is like auditioning for like his presidential run.
Yeah,
I don't know how many people are watching this, but like he's putting his bid in, and like, I don't think either of them are like winning or losing really at this point. It's kind of even, honestly, to me. But I guess he's doing a smart thing by doing this, like seeing it.
he's definitely getting under DeSantis's skin. Like at the end of every like segment, you've got the creepy, again, vampiric smile from Gavin Newsom, and you've got Ron DeSantis going like this.
Right as the music was coming on, as if, Sean Hannity and Ron DeSantis are texting each other, and he was about to say, okay, the break is coming. Right when the music, before the music was even coming on, DeSantis reached and did a Marco Rubio and grabbed some water. And then the music was starting to play out Gavin Newsom like he was thanking God too much at an award show. Like, it was,
Right.
It's so, it's so rigged. I feel like it's neck and neck, but it's like rigged because, for starters, Gavin Newsom is just, Ron DeSantis, names, is not really talented as a politician, as a candidate, and he needs a stacked debate. He needs a ref who's like whistling and checking his smartwatch every once in a while in order to be neck and neck with Gavin Newsom. I don't think that's a nuance most people are going to see with this. And obviously I have my big man crush on Gavin Newsom, but he's talented at this kind of stuff is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
This all stemmed from a conversation of like, okay, of the Democrats right now, because we all know the Democrats have a weak bench for president, should Biden, then who would it be? And I was like, okay, well, they put forward like Gretchen Whitmer and Gavin Newsom and a bunch of other ones. And I think Gavin's good on camera. He's a good like attack dog type person, but I don't think he's good as a politician. He's a corporatist moderate, someone was saying.
And I was saying, what about my boy Beto O'Rourke?
Right. He could ride his skateboard across the debate stage, do a kickflip, say fuck a bunch of times.
At this point,
he is that guy.
George Santos on Fox and Friends tomorrow.
Let's go! I'll be seated for that, folks.
I'm waking up at 3 a.m. bitches. Let's go.
Setting my alarm for 5.
Okay. Let's get this over with.
Santos, gentlemen, let's move on to the issue of borders. Joe Biden's message to
Are you for real, dude?
Was,
oh my God.
Let them come.
Yo.
I'd have the tape, but I said I wouldn't play the tape.
Really,
and since
dude?
taking office, Biden said he's gotten control of the border. Vice President Kamala Harris, Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, Biden's press secretary Karine Jean.
Ron DeSantis, first question to you. It really is all about girth, right? And you've got it.
Have been a record 6.5 million encounters with illegal immigrants and so-called asylum seekers.
You killed more illegals than I've ever seen anybody do before. Congratulations.
Ron, do you happen to have any of those tapes from Guantanamo Bay? Because here on Fox, we celebrate that.
I believe it's your turn, Governor Newsom. Have the American people on the issue of borders, you're defending the Biden administration. They're saying the border's secure. They're saying the border's closed. Those are the numbers from our own Border Patrol. Are the American people being lied to?
I don't think they're being lied to. The Biden administration put out a comprehensive plan day one when he got sworn into office 3 years ago, and the Republican Party didn't touch it. They haven't moved on it. They play politics with us. And I'll be honest with you, I think there's probably one person I wouldn't listen to on this topic more than the guy that I'm standing next to, Ron DeSantis. He lacks any credibility on the issue of immigration. When he was in Congress, he supported amnesty. When he's in Congress, you supported John Boehner's bill. It's a fact.
False.
When you were in Congress, you supported
I killed John
Obama's.
Boehner's
You
bill.
supported Obama's efforts to
false.
advance comprehensive reform.
False.
The last guy you want to talk to on the issue of immigration. Your immigration policy can best be described as a governor from the state of Florida going into another state, the state of Texas, lying to migrants, promising them jobs and housing, sending them to an island, Martha's Vineyard, and then sending them to a parking lot in Sacramento, California. I met with those migrants that you lied to under false pretense. That kind of gamesmanship, using human beings as pawns, I think is disqualifying. So again, a guy who stands here, who's been out on the Republican debate stage saying, well, he's going to be tough, he's going to shoot people with backpacks, and that he has a strategy to potentially even invade our second largest trading partner, Mexico, that has a record of supporting amnesty and supporting reforms under the Obama administration, is the last guy to be standing on stage talking about the issue of immigration reform tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's deja vu all over again with that flurry of lies. This is a guy that says the Biden administration is not lying to the public about the border. They go to the White House briefing room every day. They say the border's secure. They are lying to you. We know that that's not true. Gavin Newsom is lying to you when he says somehow I support.
I'm just going to say that Fox News is the network that does all these stories about border surges. Like, that's the thing they always do. Like, they show this 24/7 on B-roll on their opinion shows. There's these surges coming at the border. It's these thousands of people, these thousands of migrants. Happened during Trump. They did it a lot during Obama. It turns out that that's not happening. Those always sort of disappear. They're just always running that footage. And so, again, like, the deck is stacked here, especially for this debate being on Fox News, because they've been conditioned day in, day out by seeing this B-roll, by hearing about the migrant caravan.
The caravan that's going to Lincoln, Nebraska, folks. And if you live there, you should be scared for your safety.
Might get some good strawberries, though.
Liberal elites, they like to impose burdens on you. They don't want to have to face the consequences of their actions. So we've got a lot of elites
the
who
burden
want
of
open
seeing
borders,
a Mexican
who
person,
lecture everybody
apparently.
else about.
I just want to ask Ron DeSantis, I want to come up. What happened when Ron DeSantis tried to impose, like, checking immigration papers at every single border for Florida state, right? Like, what happened when that when he tried that? What happened?
Well, some migrants I know want to come to America for a better life for themselves and their family, find the American dream. I totally sympathize with them.
We call them
white
Cubans.
immigrants.
Fleeing very bad situations abroad. But others are abusing the asylum process. And in the process, in search of where they're coming from, well, we're now learning that many are coming from some of our top geopolitical foes, countries with little to no vetting, or people that are coming in. They're not being vetted. Look at these numbers. Between October 2021, October 2023, border agents encountered 6,386 nationals from Afghanistan, 3,153 from Egypt, 659 from Iran,
oh my God,
the #1 state sponsor of terror, 538 from Syria, 12,605 from Russia, and a whopping 26,113 from China. Now, my question,
also, see the
next question goes to
data
you,
leaked to
Governor
Fox
Newsom.
News.
What are the odds that Biden's open borders have allowed terrorists and terror cells unvetted?
Mr. DeSantis, do you like it sloppy?
Is that a clear and present danger to every American?
The odds are 100%. Of course our enemies are going to take advantage of this. He opened the border. He's not. He's violating his oath of office to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. He's knowingly having 8 million come in. And yes, there's criminal aliens. There are terrorists. There's a lot of fentanyl. That we've had tens of thousands of fentanyl deaths. I've met a lot of angel parents who have lost kids to fentanyl overdose. And the problem is,
I'll just say
you'll
this:
have a college kid.
Almost all drugs that come through the southern border come through at checkpoints. So they're not being smuggled in by migrants. they're just putting that in the trunk of a car and driving it over. Like this, you can't restrict the border enough that you will stop those drugs from coming in, because they're not digging tunnels underground to bring it in. They're just driving through under any administration.
The ATF is like, yeah, bring that coke and take these guns. Here we go.
Joe Biden put out not only a comprehensive plan, he consistently puts up plans. Hold on, but Sean,
is there a risk?
I'm going to answer your question. I support border security. I think the asylum system is broken. I believe that we need. I understand that. I'm the only guy here that's a border state governor. You're trolling folks and trying to find migrants to play political games to try to get some news and attention so you can out-Trump Trump. And by the way, how's that going for you, Ron? You're down 41 points in your own home state. On the issue of immigration, Joe Biden put a $14 billion immigration package up in front of Congress, 2,300 border agents, as well as custom officials, 1,000 new law enforcement officers to deal with the fentanyl issue. And by the way, that's a major issue in your state, 41% higher overdose rates than the state of California. And here's what I haven't heard, not a peep from Ron DeSantis. They want to demagogue this issue. You want to play politics with issues. You don't want to solve this issue. Why don't you lead your party and support that $14 billion package?
Hold on. I have a follow-up. Governor Newsom, I appreciate your answer. You have mentioned comprehensive immigration reform many times. It's not happened under Joe Biden. I don't think it's going to happen next year.
Put a detailed plan in. Republicans in Congress refused to act on it.
Let me finish my
Congress to work with this administration.
With all of these millions and millions of people coming into this country unvetted, the question was and remains, is this a clear and present danger from the countries I put up on the screen? Is that a clear and present danger to America? And what do you do in the interim
That's why the President of the United States put a $14 billion package in front of Congress they can act on today.
And what would that?
They haven't done anything in 2 years,
do?
this Congress.
What do you
Literally
support?
not a single piece
you support
of
border
legislation. I support the $14 billion package President's put forward.
That includes 2,300 I'm not going to be part of the debate.
Customs officials. By the way, also includes $850 million in new technology for border security. You hear nothing.
I'm still kind of shook from the chart that we saw. That's like, this is CBP data leaked to Fox News, that we have people coming from countries that we don't trust, like Egypt, which we give billions of dollars a year to.
China.
But Dan, that it might be our ally, but they're brown.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, next time use the slur, then I'll get it faster.
The National Guard. Why would I have just increased it by 50% on the largest port in the Western Hemisphere in my state? I mean, this guy has no record. The fact that you supported amnesty, the fact you supported Obama's reforms, those are facts. They're just simple facts. The fact that your greatest contribution, Ron, to this debate is...
The reforms were in, I think from what I could gather through research, I might have to look again later, but it was one of those things during the Obama administration where and we're used to it now, but everything that got passed was stuffed into an omnibus package because the Tea Party caucus, which was filled with folks like Ron DeSantis, refused for any other type of legislation to pass. So in order for a budget to pass, Ron DeSantis might have voted for something that has to do with amnesty or things like that. It's why people kind of hate these bills, because it can rhetorically be used against you later on. So we're seeing that right here, but we're really riding the thin lines of, okay, well, technically, here you go. It's really old school style politics of like, okay, sure, I guess you're technically right.
More with Governors DeSantis and Newsom.
Oh, thank God. It's a commercial break.
Well, I'll say Newsom won that round.
100%.
Again, there's the digs of like, I think Letterhack was in here earlier. Shout out Letterhack. But like, why did Ron DeSantis agree to this? And I played that clip multiple times of Gavin being interviewed by local Fox out here. And Gavin said, agreeing to this debate was one of the dumbest things Ron DeSantis has done with it.
Yeah. And it's true, because Gavin Newsom is not running for president, and not in a meaningful way, at least. And he's definitely not running in the Republican primary. So why would you take away from when you should be, throwing your ass back in Iowa and New Hampshire? You're doing this, debating the governor of California. they don't, especially when the caucuses are like, it's personal politics, even in 2023. You have to go to the farms, right? You got to go to like the corn festival and like, I don't know, pet the fattest pig or whatever it is they do at those.
He
like
needs a glizzy photo. I don't have the Ron DeSantis glizzy photo.
Right. Like they have like meetings of communities in people's living rooms. And that's what you do as a primary candidate, you know, in Iowa, in New Hampshire. It's very personal. It's very localized and they're very proud of it. Doing this kind of bullshit doesn't help your numbers in those states, even the slightest bit.
Okay. But if you're, if you're Ron DeSantis's campaign team, which I think Ron DeSantis was like, I imagine they all talk like him. And Ron DeSantis is like, sure, I'm going to debate Gavin Newsom because I'll be on TV and I'll be able to tell him how bad it is. And on his campaign was just like, you know what? Sure. Go ahead, Ron. No skin off my ass. Go ahead and do that. But like, it's not only that part of how there's retail politics. I'm truly kind of asking this question as a calculation. We've seen Ron DeSantis's retail politics. It's like, hi, cool. Are you carrying a Coke? Okay. What's your name? Okay, cool. Hello. Okay, let's go over here.
A kid is drinking a Slurpee and he's like, a lot of calories in that.
He did that?
He said there was a lot of sugar in it or something like that. Like fat shamed a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I arguably Ron DeSantis being on TV is better than him doing retail politics. I'm willing to concede that, but I still think you're right, Ray, that like that doesn't work in Iowa.
Right. I mean, and he has a campaign that's being managed by someone who's, you know, I've said this a million times, but not just never managed a national campaign, has never managed any campaign. And it fucking shows all the time. How they got that job, I'll never know.
But also, didn't it come out that the Koch brothers are supporting Nikki Haley?
I think so, because like the you know, mainstream conservatives, like Ron DeSantis has gone too off the sauce even for them. So now the mainstream conservatives are huddling around Nikki Haley and they feel like that they can turn the tides of the polls with a win in Iowa and New Hampshire. South Carolina's also on the board. Gavin Newsom wonderfully reminded us that Ron DeSantis is underwater in his home state advantage by 40 points. Like, that's not underwater. That's not drowning. That's just like bodies. Like, it's tough electorally for Ron DeSantis. And I think his best moments of this, you know, election cycle probably are not only behind him, but they were all in his poll numbers, his speculative poll numbers by the Beltway media.
Right. Right. And like, it's smart for, you know, Coke to be backing someone like Nikki Haley because Ron DeSantis was the right-wing media darling for a minute. And then he tried to outflank Trump from the right, which made no sense. Like you know, if you're trying to get inroads with the, you know, old party heads who don't like Donald Trump, you tone down the rhetoric. You don't put Nazi symbols in your fucking campaign videos.
Tap the brakes. Throw in a couple waters. It's like okay.
The only way DeSantis can come back is if Newsom faints. Because then they'll just be like vaxxed. I mean,
Turn me into that. Anyway, let's look at the issue of crime. FBI numbers, violent crime nationally for each of your states. Keep in mind, this statistic shows what is the combined rate of homicide.
Gavin Newsom, you're doing all the crime. Why?
Right.
Year 2022.
Gavin Newsom, you murdered 6 people on the way in.
Gavin Newsom, you're black and you're doing all the crime.
100,000 people. In California, meanwhile, the rate was much higher, 499.5 offenses per 100,000. In Florida, lower, 258.9 offenses per 100,000. Governor Newsom, let me start with you. Your numbers are way higher than the national average. How do you explain that when safety and security, I would argue, is a prerequisite for the pursuit of happiness?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. We're near 50-year lows, down 55% violent crimes in the state of California from the 1990s. And I want to compare and contrast that with the issue in Florida that you didn't mention, and that's the murder rate. And let's broaden it more broadly. The issue is 7 of the top
Those numbers were
10
part of the murder rate.
7 of the top 10 murder rates in the United States of America are red states. He has a 66% higher gun death rate than the state of California. He has a higher murder rate. Go to places like Jacksonville. Go to places like Orlando. Go to places like Tampa. The murder rate's off the charts compared to cities like San Francisco. And you know what? Even more egregiously, Sean, and I think this is important, the American people deserve an answer from you, Ron. You had one of the worst mass shootings in American history, Parkland. 17 kids were gunned down, lives lost, 17 others, lives torn asunder. You had a young girl by the name of Jamie Gutenberg, whose father pleaded with you to do something about it. And you know what you did? You did the exact opposite. You made it easier for felons to get guns without background checks, without any training. These people pleaded with you, the parents and the families, to get tough on gun safety. And again, you made it easier for felons. He said of you, Ron, and I agree with him, after you signed that concealed carry bill, which increases the likelihood, Fred Gutenberg said, of more Jamies losing their lives and more Parklands, he called you weak, pathetic, and small. So with respect, I appreciate you're talking to police officers in the state of California. You may want to spend a little bit more time, not on the Ohio Trail and other places across this country. You may spend a little more time back in your home state and address the murder and gun violence in your own backyard.
So this is the slick politician. You put up the rates. He has 500 per 100,000. Florida is 250. So that's almost twice as much. And he's trying to spin that to say California's doing good. People are leaving California in droves, largely because public safety has collapsed. They have, I mean, you go, when Californians come to Florida, one of the things they'll say, it's almost like an out-of-body experience. They can go to the store, get toothpaste off the shelf, pay for it, and leave, because in a lot of these places in California, everything's under lock and key because they've basically legalized retail theft. They have chosen in California to put the interests of the criminals over public safety. They treat they're easier on all these crimes that are leading to a collapse in the quality of life. And if you just walk around San Francisco, you will see, and I think it's interesting, Gavin Newsom was mayor of San Francisco. So he took the San Francisco model, turned that into a template for California's collapse. Now the left wants to take the California model and use that as a template for America's collapse. We cannot let that happen.
Wait, I got a follow-up question.
You brought up Jacksonville, Florida, compared to San Francisco, is 126% higher.
Governor, let me bring up
it's 84%
the next question
higher.
dovetails
in
into
Tampa,
this.
It's 75% higher. What?
Let me also say,
what are you talking about when it comes to this?
I know you like to jabber.
By the way, those are all easily
I know you like to lie.
Anytime you're uncomfortable,
he put the statistics up
I
there.
would be fascinated to know what they included in that graph as violent crime. Like, is theft included in violent crime? Because yeah, that's going to pad the stats a bit, but it's like it's not, your life isn't at risk because someone at the store put a fucking tube of toothpaste in their pocket and walked out. Like, shut the fuck up.
I'm sorry. Like, we see this stat on here where it's California versus Florida on gun law. California's had 21 mass shootings. Florida's had 9. Also, 2019's a nice cutoff there, because that does that include Parkland? No. Does that include
like
Pulse nightclub? No.
Yeah, seriously. But like also like have you heard of the Bloods? Like be getting
What rappers have come out of Florida?
It's so I'm sorry. It's
Lil
so it's it's so shitty to put that up without like putting up the actual like gun death rate, which is higher in Florida. It's higher like in red states all across the country than it is in California. To just be like, after the couple really bad mass shootings in Florida, California's had more gang shootouts. So
like I was kind of expecting this to not be so partisan. Like when he said that in the beginning, I kind of believed him. Like, okay, well, that's cool. But it's like, dude, like this is ridiculous.
I didn't think it was gonna be an SNL sketch, like literally.
Wait, really important. Fargo in my chat pointed out that the Island Boys are from Florida.
Yeah, the Portland Report also pointed out the Stitches the rappers also from there. So we've got Stitches and Mike Boy for mayor in your chat as well. Okay, we've got the Island Boys. Look them up on YouTube recently. They're fun.
Well, if anybody wants to know, look up the Jacksonville rappers and the stuff that's going on there. It's insane.
People like talk about drill rap in Chicago and in New York, and they're like, "Oh, it's really," which it to some extent it glorifies violence, whatever. But like, if you look at those fucking like self-made music videos from rappers in Jacksonville, Tampa, it's not.
I feel much safer as a pedestrian in like South Central Los Angeles than I ever would as like a walker by at a gas station in Jackson. Because they're filming some like music video, and there's
it's just a snuff film. It's just a snuff film.
And everybody's got a gun with a switch on it. Like everybody.
The button. They got the gun buttons.
Okay, sure. I guess we'll watch.
With all due respect, look at your own backyard, Ron.
So
You're
I
not
will
mining your backyard on this issue.
I will do that because we have we had two radical left Soros district attorneys, like your buddy Gascon in LA, one in Tampa, one in Orlando. They were endangering the public, and I removed them from their posts. Gavin Newsom has not lifted a finger to rein in Gascon in LA. That city has collapsed. That county's collapsed because he is not enforcing the law. So that's just and here's the thing.
American city.
This is what's happening. That California model.
The city is collapsed, which is why every time you go there's more transplants than people who actually live there.
I mean, you're running for president of the United States. You're talking down the great state of California. You're talking down one of the great American cities, Los Angeles. That's insulting. And you're doing it because you're trying to obfuscate the facts that you have a higher murder rate in the state of Florida and the state of California. We got to take the lowest crime rates we've had in 50 years.
Okay, like whenever I go to San Diego, like whenever I'm in San Diego, it's like damn near impossible to meet somebody from San Diego. Yeah. Like damn near impossible.
My college roommate lives in San Diego. She's from Chicago.
Please.
Both of her roommates are not from San Diego.
Like we're trying to get the Midwesterners out of there. But Dan, you're from Long Beach, but as a LA resident, how often are you meeting transplants?
All the time. I'd say majority, to the point where like I maybe too much inside base. I changed the area which I would date because I was sick of me. I wanted to actually grow up in LA.
I get so excited if I'm in San Diego and somebody says, "Oh, I'm from San Diego." I'm like, "Oh my, what high school did you go to? Oh, do you remember this freeway?" Like I'm like so excited. But like this is so rare.
Yeah.
Is it like that in Chicago or no?
No, it's not really like that in Chicago. Most of the people in Chicago, born and raised here, or, the closest thing we get to a transplant is a motherfucker from Naperville who now lives in the city, which is, for those who don't know, 15 minutes outside of the city, right? Like it's not, I mean, it's definitely not, if you go to like, I don't know, the nice like River North, or people who live downtown, which it's weird to do that in Chicago. People live in neighborhoods here. They're not living in the loop. Okay. But it's not super common. Especially like now that I'm in my later 20s. When you're younger and you're meeting a lot of people your age, some people are just there for college, whatever. But now it's mostly people who've lived here for a long time, if not their whole lives.
The Chicago people, what they're doing is they're moving to Minneapolis. That's what's happening.
No, the fuck, they're not. Actually, I do know someone who just moved from Chicago to Minneapolis.
They're like, I got to upgrade.
You mean downgrade? How many Minneapolis people have been on shadow banned? 0. How many Chicago people have?
Damn.
1. So
I gotta try to get somebody.
Wrong.
We can have a debate. Oh, that'd be great, actually.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I went on Bam's show this morning to talk about it.
I do know a person that's like a Minneapolis, like she's from there and like reps it hard. I feel like I got to set up that debate there. I gotta get you guys to just like go at it and just like get these two cities fighting, and like it's like they're both like not even that great. Like what are we
The
doing?
Chicago Minneapolis Civil War. Yeah,
That'd be cool.
it's
Corn
coming.
Pop for Prez in my chat says, "Congrats on your appearance on Bam's show."
Thank you so much. It was really an honor. Honestly, though, the first time I tuned in, I saw that he had the link to the StreamYard in the chat. I was about to message, did you mean to put that in the chat? Because I just thought you leaked the link.
Come on in, dude. Let's go. Whatever. You care less.
Luddite 11, Dan, I live in Reading, and I would love transplants instead of the crazy fucks I deal with every day. Yeah, you know, grass is always greener. Owen Reading, you know. Fox Nation's still trying to go at it. I'm seeing a commercial here. They've got, it looks like more Hannity. Hannity, just what a guy, what a professional. 27 years of doing this like shilling for the Republican Party, and he had the gall to go like, you know what? Fair and balanced is what you're gonna get out of the old hamster. You suckers
I feel like I was lied to, kind of like I'm a little offended.
Bam, he threw the football at you. He threw the football. He tried to get you to catch the football.
He pulled the wool over Bam's eye.
I'm like,
he got you.
I'm like, you fucking liar, man.
Santos of Florida, Governor Gavin Newsom of the state of California. Gentlemen, let's turn to the issue of parental rights. Now, in March of last year, Governor Desantis, as you know, you signed the Parental Rights in Education bill. And let me read from it. It says, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may...
I am begging, like, I got kind of fooled too, and I want to hear this out a little bit, but could this be the first possible question that is slightly adversarial toward Ron DeSantis, or is this going to be another handy? It's going to be another...
No, he's going to be like, Ron DeSantis, thank you for stopping pedophilia. Good job, sir.
$5.
Should schools, and maybe all grades, should schools be focusing on reading, writing, math, science, history, computers, and maybe leaving values, considering parents might have different values than teachers at school, to the parents, to religious institutions, or is it the role of the school? What is the role?
The role of the school is to educate kids, not indoctrinate kids. It's
He
not
said,
to
"Thank you,
impose
Ron
an agenda.
DeSantis,
It's
for
to do the
not raping
basics."
kids.
And
That's
what
what
we said in
happened
Florida
is-
is it's inappropriate to tell a kindergartner that their gender is a choice. It's inappropriate to tell a second grader that they may have been born in the wrong body. Now, California has that. They want to have that injected into the elementary school. My wife and I have a 7-5 and a 3-year-old. We don't think that that's appropriate. And I know most parents do not think it's appropriate. It's also important to respect parental rights to know what curriculum is being used in the classroom, and everything should be age appropriate. I actually have something that I brought that some parents have objected to. So this is a book that's in some of the schools in California. In Florida, this is not consistent with our standards, called Gender Queer. Some of it's blacked out. You would not probably be able to put this on air. This is pornography. It's cartoons. It's aimed at children, and it's wrong. So this should not be in schools. When people like on the left say that somehow you're banning books by removing this from a young kid's classroom, no, this is not age appropriate. And so we're going to...
Yep, Gender Queer was in preschools, totally. Yep, that's how
it's not even a book for kids. It just has pictures in it. They're like, I don't understand at all. Like, it's for adults. The author's been like, yeah, my book's not for fucking kids.
I love that he pulling this out. I've seen this. He's been doing this all over the campaign trail. What's wrong with Toni Morrison's books?
It's not banned.
What's wrong? It's not true.
Not.
What's wrong with Amanda Gorman's?
It's not banned.
And the poetry. 1,406. 1,406 books have been banned on your banning bench in the state of Florida. As it relates to parental rights, come on. California, it's in our Constitution, parental engagement. It's called the LCFF process. We actually require parental engagement on curriculum development. And we don't. Complete lie. We don't require K through 3rd grade sexual education. That doesn't happen until middle school. What you're doing is using education as a sword for your cultural purge. And you know what? With all due respect,
we learned line dancing in 4th grade in elementary school because that was California state curriculum.
The name
It's
of Ronald
Illinois
Reagan.
state curriculum. We had to do both line dancing and square dancing in middle school. And like
What?
everyone in middle school was mortified because it has to be boy girl partner for square dancing. And we're just like the most awkward, like uncomfortable people in the world.
We were learning dreidel at my school and like the stuff like that. You don't want to know. You don't want to know what I was doing in my off time. Second grade, first grade, boy. Like these people act like kids don't know what's going on. Like
Right.
What?
Yeah, by second grade, I had like 6 genders already. So
I'm not gonna say anything.
Just to summarize for what people were like, because they were talking. Gavin Newsom tried to make Ronald Reagan was actually on my side point, and it's like these people.
Right.
They want to be mad. They want to be mad, and they want to feel like you're okay. Here, another. They read that chart real fast. They're saying,
Yeah.
oh well, apparently California's losing in the rankings, and Florida's better in education. I saw something that was like Department of Education. Let's play it. Let me not run this like I'm a radio host in a hockey game.
How to Masturbate for Males and Females. My question to you, Governor Newsom, those books, do you believe that's appropriate for school districts to teach kids? Yes or no?
Come on, that's not part of the curriculum. They're not teaching
those
kids
are those are books that were in school.
Hold on. The bottom line is you are on a book banning binge, your state. 1,406 books, 3,362 in this country.
You didn't answer. What about those books?
That's
Kennedy,
not, we don't provide for K through 3rd grade education, that kind of curriculum. It's just made up. These guys make it up. It's part of this cultural purge.
Should it
it's
be?
Just a made
What grade would it be acceptable?
What I find offensive, Sean and Ron, what I find offensive is a very significant number of these books happen to be LGBTQ books. A significant number of these books happen to be about African Americans.
Do you think it's
honestly find it offensive? I told you, we don't teach that. We don't teach that. We have sex education in middle schools and high schools where it's appropriate. This is a ginned up, made up issue to divide this country. You talk about dividing this country. This is part of the culture war, the weaponization of grievance. This is part using education. We're focusing on math, science. We're focusing on reimagining our school system.
We're going to get to education
He's criminalizing teachers and criminalizing librarians. Check out the wrong
that Sean and Ron was low-key pretty smooth,
a liberal agenda, social justice. They have this ethnic studies where they're dividing people. That's what they're doing. But let me just say something about parents' rights, because he says California respects parents' rights. This is rich. He's been telling a lot of whoppers tonight. This may be the biggest. In California, if you're a parent in Iowa or New Hampshire or South Carolina, your minor child can go to California without your knowledge or without your consent and get hormone therapy, puberty blockers, and a sex change operation, all without you knowing or consenting. Nice. How in the heck is that honoring parents' rights when you're bringing people from out of state to go around their parents' backs and getting life-altering...
Yeah, everyone knows California sends buses to different states.
Yeah, I got when I was 12, I went to Cali and got a dick, so...
Let me stay on a follow-up. Let's turn to the issue of education.
Decency and humanity and grace when it comes
to ripping somebody away.
Gentlemen, please. Nobody can hear you.
That is wrong. That is wrong.
I'll tell you.
All right.
That should not stand in this country.
Let us turn, gentlemen, if I may, to the issue of education. Here is public school spending per K through 12 students, according to the Education Data Initiative from the U.S. Census Bureau and National Center for Education. Florida spends nearly $12,000 per student, while California spends over $16,000. Florida.
Wait, this is ranked by U.S. News and World
is ranked
Report,
number 1,
which is like the scandalous one. That's the rigged one, right?
Yeah.
Like, have you ever met a smart person from Florida?
Florida man is like America's main cultural export, right? Like, California has Silicon Valley, Florida has Silicon, surgery.
School year. We just provided 3.4 million of our students upwards of $2 billion for child savings accounts and the opportunity to start businesses when they graduate. We have one of the best records under COVID, during COVID. And again, you didn't answer to the fact you had more learning loss. Ron DeSantis had more learning loss during COVID. 4th grade reading, 4th grade math, 8th grade reading, 8th grade math. We outperformed you in it's a fact during COVID in every one of those categories. I can't wait to get all the PolitiFacts tonight because, Ron, you keep denying some basic fundamental facts on health.
Dog, I'm going to be honest, this PolitiFact's going to be rough.
Right. But like, just to be, every ranking I've ever seen that's not US news, which is total bullshit, for like best public school systems in the country is always like New Jersey for some reason, you know, number one. And it's always like, you know, the northeast of the country has historically always had, you know, the best public school systems. Always. Like, California's isn't good. It's just not. But it's not as bad as fucking Florida.
Yeah.
They spend 6 nickels on per student. Like,
I also, for the record, because go Bears, we're talking about K through 12 education. Public education for higher ed. That's just my opinion.
In the country during COVID, also to do universal school choice. Every parent in Florida has a right to send their kid to the school of their choice. We're winning these fights. California is bending the knee to the union because they control the politicians.
All right, let's move on. A topic that will seemingly play a very large role.
Inshallah, the union controls the politicians.
For both of you, I'll ask you to please respect the individual's right to answer uninterrupted. And that is Governor DeSantis. I think it's actually your turn, Governor Newsom, if you don't mind.
Respect the right of Ron DeSantis to get this blowjob uninterrupted, okay, Gavin?
Outside of a mother's womb by between 24 and 26 weeks. That is the general scientific consensus. It changes. There are some variations on it. Abortion is legal in your state, quote, up to viability, is my understanding, unless the mother's health is in danger. I'd like to get you on the record. You've been unwilling to answer this question. Should there be any restrictions on the issue of abortion that you support at all? Because funding in California, you have allocated in your budget $265 million for abortion last year alone. My question, very specific. Do you support any restrictions at all on abortion, especially in months 7, 8, and 9, past viability?
I'm going to answer that question, but let's talk about the issue of abortion. Let's talk about the issue of abortion.
You're going to answer it?
I'm going to answer that question. Okay. I'll repeat that. But I think this is important, and it bears repeating. Ron DeSantis has signed the most extreme anti-abortion bills in America. He signed a bill banning any exceptions for rape and incest. And then he said it didn't go far enough and decided to sign a 6-week ban before women even know they're pregnant, Ron, before women can even access a doctor's appointment. So extreme is your ban that criminalizes women and criminalizes doctors that even Donald Trump said it was too extreme. On the issue of the extreme exception that you highlight as it relates to the issue of later term abortion, it's almost always because of a fetal anomaly, the life of the mother. And in those rare cases, I trust, and answer your question, I trust the mother and her doctor to make that decision.
So in other words, I want to be clear on this. If a woman and her doctor, for any reason...
Not for any reason.
No. I'm asking...
The doctor's not going to agree
to... I know where you guys are going, Sean. You're even uncomfortable with this whole issue. And I understand this is where you guys have to go to cover for the extreme anti-abortion agenda of Ron DeSantis.
Would you support a ban on abortion in 7th, 8th, or 9th month if the mother's life is not in jeopardy?
Extreme exception. People aren't going on and having abortions.
Should it be illegal
unless something devastating has happened?
Should it be illegal?
It should be up to the mother and her doctor and her conscience. And it
so the answer is no restriction.
I've already answered it, and I'll just reinforce it. to cover up, again, hold on, for the most extreme abortion ban in the country. I have a simple question, though. This is important.
No. I'm asking the question.
Ron DeSantis, will you or will you not sign a 6-week ban in the unlikely case you govern President of the United States?
Let's talk about your state.
After that, he's getting saved.
You had 15 weeks.
Fundamental question.
You had a 15-week rule in California. You reduced it to 6. My question is this. What was your thinking behind it? Was it for religious reasons? Was it for
My question is, why are you so
scientific reasons? What was the reason for you from going from 15 weeks to 6 weeks?
Well, I believe in a culture of life. I think we're better off when everybody counts, when everybody has an opportunity to do well. And that bill attaches when there's a detectable heartbeat for the child. And some states have done that. Some states have done others. Some states have done later. And obviously, they have a right to do that. But I think about one of our Floridians, a lady named Penny Hopper. She actually survived a late-term abortion back in the day, and they left her on the table there to basically wither away. Her grandmother came, saved her, brought her to a hospital, saved her, and she ended up living a good life. So she counts and she matters. And I think that what the position that we have from the modern left, including in California, is that they will take your tax dollars and they will fund abortion all the way to the moment of birth. He's wrong when he says the later terms are all because of this. 88% past 15 weeks are in fact elective from the Florida data. He doesn't keep data there, but that is really extreme to take your tax dollars and to do this all the way up to the moment of birth. He didn't.
Yeah, they gotta do the right conference calls, because Sean Hannity was defining late as 7, 8, 9, and Ron DeSantis giving up the game as Gavin. Gavin. It's that Florida math, yo.
Sir Sean, why didn't you answer his question?
Or will you not support a national ban if it lands on your desk? You couldn't answer that in any other context.
Okay,
answer it tonight. It's a simple yes or no.
We're moving on to the next issue.
Hey, no, Sean, not a next issue.
You never gave a week.
The American people should know this. I'll answer it for Ron DeSantis. He can't answer it. He will sign that extreme 6-week
let me move on.
ban. The American people should know that.
I'm calling this the lightning round. It would be great if you guys cooperated. I'm not a potted plant here.
Good.
And I want to ask you, we all know that federal policy does have a huge impact on states. We know that. I'm going to ask you 3 simple questions, and I just want one-word answers, okay? From 3 of you, because we're coming up on a break. And the issue is right now Joe Biden is president.
Yep.
So I would like both of you to give a grade to Joe Biden overall as president. Governor Newsom, I'll give A.
An A, absolutely.
Governor
DeSantis, a master
failed.
And a failure. Yeah. Okay.
No, that's your.
Now,
can't even do a letter.
Are his policies helping or hurting your individual states? Is it helping the state of Florida?
The inflation is hurting our state big time.
Grade.
Fail. He failed.
Yeah.
He's failed on the economy.
The guy just took $28 million from the Science and Tech Act. Thank you, Joe Biden. It's absolutely accelerating our dominance in manufacturing, accelerating our revitalization.
Okay,
of our
that was
state.
a simple
the answer
answer.
Is unequivocally,
Lastly,
absolutely yes.
Okay, I will ask you, Governor DeSantis. I have played over and over again, and Governor Newsom, you have seen over and over again. Joe Biden is experienced what I believe to be significant cognitive decline. And in other words, it's the toughest job in the world. Is Joe Biden experiencing this cognitive decline? Is it a danger to the country? Do you find when he speaks,
one-word answer, by the way.
What is your reaction to it?
Yes, he's in decline. Yes, it's a danger to the country. He has no business running for president. And, you know, Gavin Newsom agrees with that. He won't say that. But that's why he's running his shadow campaign. He should not be running. He is not up to the job. And it is dangerous for this country.
Well, I will take Joe Biden at 100 versus Ron DeSantis any day of the week at any age. In fact, all of the folks
you think he's up to the job? You think he's 100%?
I've been spending plenty of time with Joe Biden in private and public. You don't know. And by the way, results matter. Inflation now is down to 3.2%. Wages are up to 4.4%. The economy is booming, 5.2% GDP growth in the last quarter. Those are facts you don't hear on Fox News. 14 million jobs, 10 times more than the last 3.
Let me move on. That was the lightning round. Now, on March 31st, 1960, President Lyndon B. Johnson famously said, "I shall not seek and I will not accept the nomination of my party for another term as your president. Now, despite being an incumbent president who is eligible to run for re-election, Governor Newsom, I've interviewed you twice on this issue. You say you are not running for president in 2024. In fact, you recently said, quote, you think that Vice President Harris is naturally the one lined up to run for president if Joe Biden were to bow out. Governor Newsom, tonight I ask you, will you make an LBJ-like statement? And Governor Desantis, you say he's running a shadow campaign. In your response, I would like you to answer that. Will you say unequivocally, under no circumstances are you running?
Correct. I've said, I don't know how many times I can say it. He's just making this stuff up about a shadow campaign.
If at the DNC convention they come and ask you, will you run? What will you say?
Joe Biden will be our nominee in a matter of weeks. And in a matter of weeks, Sean, he'll be endorsing Donald Trump as the nominee for the Republican Party.
If they come to you at the DNC and Joe is incapable of running and they ask you, are you a hard no?
It's not even optional. He's doing fantastically. I appreciate and respect the work the president's doing and the vice president. It's the Biden-Harris campaign and team. So absolutely unequivocally, I look forward
Harris would be the
to
next
continuing to support their efforts. President Biden will be reelected. Donald Trump will be rejected.
I think what he's saying should color every single thing. I mean, I've called him on a lot of the lies, but he says Joe Biden is 100% up to the job. You know that that's not true. Anybody that can look, he wants you to believe him over your own lying eyes. When he says the economy is so great, how great is it when you're going to the grocery store now? How great is it when you're trying to afford a home? How are those interest rates doing? What about affording a new car?
To be
so
honest.
we have to get real here. We have to understand that
Right,
Biden is not
I shop
up
at
to
Aldi. Things are cool.
Let's talk about why home prices cost a lot, Ron DeSantis. Your party's
Yeah, right.
Ray, I want to. Somebody in the chat said, "Oh my God, Rayvana, it's nice to know someone else had to go through Illinois crazy line dancing and square dancing curriculum. I lived in Yorkville."
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. It was not fun. Not fun at all. I do know how to promenade now, though. So I think I'm a better person for it.
States. For years, a gallon of gasoline, Governor Newsom, in California has been notably higher in your state than in the state of Florida.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm bored of this thing, but I want to do some analysis here because Gavin's top point in this was probably the abortion stuff because it's what's going really well for Democrats because it's the same effect that Donald Trump had where you don't love the Democrats, but the Republicans are doing something so bad, they have such bad intentions that you are willing to fight back against that, and that is motivating, right? So that's good. But he's playing the Democratic Party game continually by going, no, Joe Biden's done a great job with the economy. No, Joe Biden's done X, Y, and Z. Because you're not allowed to go outside of Bidenomics isn't all that great thing because that would be bad for Joe Biden. And even if Gavin Newsom could be honest in that way or whatever, that would hurt his chances in 2020. How, you must do this respect kind of thing, the Democratic Party is. Oh, you must not topple the boat. You must fall in line with the narrative that the Democratic Party is. I haven't even talked about Mehdi Hassan getting kicked off of MSNBC this week, but it's the very same vein. So that's the thing that's holding Gavin Newsom back is that he's a company boy, right? Like he works for the Democratic Party through and through, and in rhetoric he can be, exciting, and he's like not afraid to put all this stuff like that. But you can't get rid of the fact that Gavin Newsom party, that's the worst thing.
Yeah,
he's 100% progressive.
That might help him personally, though.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party is still like a big apparatus in the country. Like, if he's towing the line, they probably there's probably a lot of dirt on Gavin Newsom. Like, the dude can dribble a basketball. Like, I feel like there's some shit that's in the closet there. Like,
the dirt is that video of him going to China and accidentally bodying a child and then for some reason putting that child over his knee and spanking him.
You've seen that video, but that's the way you see what Gavin Newsom. First of all, Gavin Newsom was mayor of San Francisco. I tell you, he slept with his campaign manager's wife. If you're a campaign manager on a campaign where you're trying to run, That is a thankless job. You are making below like burger flipping wages. You are working like 70-hour weeks. It is miserable. You have to really believe in a person, really give it your all for the campaign, and they're looking at you back with a smile in their eye, and they're becoming your friends, banging your wife night after
Fucking
night
your
after
wife.
night.
What was the campaign manager opposed to it? Maybe maybe they're in the lifestyle.
They're no longer friends. They're no longer friends.
It might not be because of that. It might not be because of that.
They had an argument, but not about him banging his wife.
Yeah,
He was
it might
into
have been. It might have been lifestyle.
It was San Francisco, after all. You California liberals
we
are into all types of shit.
We need more sex positivity on the left.
That's always true. We can always be more sex positive because there's still a lot of There's one last thing. I Am Sock pointed out something from Ryan Grimm saying that he used to do Hannity's radio show and he would quote unquote moderate the debate between me, Ryan, and another right winger, and he would do this exact same thing. So Ryan Grimm's gonna post clips of that happening. I'm not surprised. Like this is Sean Hannity was kind of doing British like dry humor when he was like, as you know, I've been a Fox News host. I'm the one who's been here the longest. He was literally jerking himself off. Like, well,
Yeah.
this little Jeremy Clarkson here. I've been here the longest, and if I seem to be the last man standing. Who would have thought it'd be me? No one bet on me, right? But who would have been me? That being said, I know you all know me as a conservative. That's not going to happen. I'm going to be very, very down the middle.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis, nice cock. Like, it's like a Top Gear. I know it's kind of funny, so I'm gonna say it's not like SNL. It's like Top Gear.
Right.
It's like they're joking the entire time, and the audience is
Hannity's about to
bit.
throw it to the Stig in their reasonably priced car. Right? It feels like that's what's about to happen.
The Stig has to catch
Like,
the football every single time.
Like I don't want to get lied to like that. Like I don't want to realize I was lied to that fast. Like, you said you're gonna be like impartial, and then like right away you just didn't do it. Like, can you at least try? Like, wait a little later. Like,
Bam's in it for the plot. If you want to lie to Bam, give him some fantasy. All right, give him something to work with.
Like a little bit, dude. Like, don't you like? God, I don't mind being lied to. That's okay. I'm an adult. Like,
he literally said, he looked Bam in his eyes and said, "I'm going to be an impartial host." Gavin Newsom, why are you gay and why do you suck?
You're the gay devil. You're Little Nas X.
Baby, you know I never lie to you.
Like, goddamn, dude. These people are just like, it's embarrassing.
And
I mean,
kind of got good.
No, I'm saying, and the reality is like, both of these slimeball politicians are lying too. Like, we expect the politician to just like make shit up and fudge the numbers and make themselves look good all the time. And I'm sure they're going to ask him at the end, like, "Oh, can you say one positive thing about each other?" And it's going to be like hilarious. But
Ron DeSantis is going to be like, "Bag."
And stream over.
No, like I'm imagining again. Let's go back into the DeSantis lie. Like, Chris Wallace, or that was the down the middle guy at Fox, right? Like, imagine even in the Republican primary debates, any of the moderators going, "Gavin Newsom, why are you like you're lying? You're not answering the like." Literally, you could not have a more rigged. So I kind of it goes to Gavin Newsom being like, "Hey, look, I'm kind of holding my own here, even though I'm debating two people."
That's like the other people in the debate's job to do, is say, "Did you notice he didn't answer the question? She's evading the question, blah, blah, blah." That is so not the moderator's job. They give you a bullshit answer. You say, "Thank you." Ron DeSantis, your response?
Yeah, no, it's I can say that Gavin Newsom is handling that part well. Like, he's not getting frustrated, and I'll give him a lot of credit for that. Like, he is really like a politician, dude. Like,
yeah,
he's got that thing like down, and I'm a little impressed by that. Like, you're like, this is some bullshit, and you're just like, and you're just like handling it with ease. But Beto would be better because he started speaking Spanish on him.
Right.
And I wonder, does Ron DeSantis know Spanish? Because Jeb Bush does.
Right.
Like, you're going to be the governor of Florida, you don't speak Spanish?
I would love to hear him. I think there is some like radio ad where he read a script that was definitely like Spanish, and they went with him multiple times. Like, okay, you pronounce this like this. Like they just gave him a phonetic version. I know that. But I don't know that for a fact. I just don't think he cares. Mm-hmm. Wasn't the story with his wife like I pronounced it thigh, and any woman who would correct me, I would dump them. And I married the woman who never corrected me when I pronounced it thigh food. Yeah.
Yep. And he would bring women on dates and say, I really like thigh food.
Who is this?
DeSantis.
Ron DeSantis.
This is a real story?
Yes.
Oh my God.
He told it like it was endearing.
Oh my God.
Again, this debate might be better than him doing retail politics.
And if the women corrected him, he would make an excuse and just leave the date.
That's insane. What a sociopath.
Oh my God. Oh
my God. Can I just start doing Fox graphics where I'm like, number of swamps in Florida. Like number of
alligators.
Number of gator decapitations in Florida versus California. Like, yo, let me be a Fox News charts guy for like a day and a half, please.
How many turtles eaten in
Year plan like 20 years ago. He was going to end homelessness. Then a few years later, he had another plan. And now he says he's going to do, and it's only gotten worse. In the last 10 years in California, the homeless has gone up 45%. It's gone down in Florida, Spanish, by the way, 45%. But it's caused a huge problem with quality of life in California. The people that flee always bring up this. They've really empowered lawlessness and drug use. And, Gavin Newsom at one point tried to say that California was the freedom state. And I just kind of laughed, like, you're locking people down, you're doing all this. But then I thought about it, California does have freedoms that some people don't, that other states don't. You have the freedom to defecate in public in California. You have the freedom to pitch a tent on Sunset Boulevard. You have the freedom to create a homeless encampment under a freeway and even light it on fire. You have the freedom to have an open air drug market and use drugs. You have a free.
Literally all of these things are in Florida in spades.
Right.
Like, Florida's a place where drugs don't exist. People always obey laws, especially involving traffic. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
The streets of Jacksonville are paved with loose shits. Like, that's literally how they create infrastructure.
Better than filling potholes. It's less expensive.
It hard banning books. I mean, spare me this notion of freedom. Ask the folks at Disney about freedom and free enterprise. Ask the folks at the Special Olympics that you threatened to fine with $27 million.
Because they were discriminating against the athletes.
Who goes after
those
Special Olympians when it comes to the issue,
Down syndrome,
Ron, of homelessness?
That is wrong. That's being a liberal bully. That's being a bully.
Really?
They had Down syndrome, and you wanted to discriminate against them.
$27 million
fine. They were discriminating against because they were discriminating against the athletes. They wanted to marginalize the athletes, and you wanted the athletes marginalized. That was wrong what you did. These are kids with Down syndrome that just wanted to compete.
I grew up working aid to adoption.
Sorry, you want to know what's wrong? The fact that you can actually bet on the Special Olympics in the year 2023.
No, shut the fuck up.
No, I'm serious.
We're not even gonna go there right now.
I think
it's funny. It's funny how Ron DeSantis like gets all whiny and puts his hand on his hip like that, because he did that in the last debate. Like, gets that hand on the hip and gets a little whiny. Oh no, Ron.
He's a little sassy.
Oh, not Ronnie boy.
I can handle it. I'm used to bullying. You're nothing but a bully.
You're a bully.
I understand that. Intimidating and humiliating people, that's your calling card.
Why did you
By the way,
Olympians not
how
to
well
be able
is
to
it going
compete?
for you?
Why did you want them not to be able to compete?
How well is this
Why do you
campaign
not
going?
want them to be
He's
able
not
to
going to let me
compete?
talk, so
I don't
I'll talk to the
understand
American
why you
people.
want to discriminate
Again,
against
I'll remind you, the blueprint.
He wanted them to be
blueprint
excluded from
for
the
Florida
Special Olympics.
has put Ron DeSantis 41 points down to Donald Trump as you try to get tough.
We said
and
that.
out-Trump Trump.
Let's go back to the homelessness.
issue of homelessness has been an issue for decades in the making in the state of California, ever since we started shuttering down our mental health institutions back in the day, in Ronald Reagan's day. The difference is I'm the first governor in California history to take this head on. We are investing unprecedented resources, more accountability. We've gotten 68,000 people off the streets, close to 6,000 encampments we've gotten off the streets. We've also invested in unprecedented resources in reforming our behavioral health system. Ron has literally the worst mental health system in America, forgive me, outside of Mississippi and Texas. And so with all due respect to being lectured on some of these topics, Ron DeSantis is not the one I'm going to be listening
30-second response. Well, I'm looking at total time.
I really wish Gavin had just ended on Ron DeSantis is not the one. Another prop.
Yeah. There's a lot of
Right.
plots on that. You
He's
may be
not that
asking,
guy.
what is that plotting? Well, this is an app where they plot the human feces
poop on
that are found
Oh
on the
my
streets of
God.
San Francisco. And you see how almost the whole thing is covered, because that is what has happened
shitted
in
on
one of
it.
the previous greatest cities this country's ever had. Human feces is now a fact of life, except when a communist dictator comes to town. Then they cleaned up the streets. They lined the streets with Chinese flags. They didn't put American flags there.
Yo, if you are, I want to do a test, right? Like one of those like focus groups where I just ask Fox News viewers who have never been to San Francisco to draw San Francisco. I bet they think, I literally bet they think it looks like, again, what Gavin Newsom was talking about, what Mississippi actually looks like.
Right.
They just draw the poop emoji.
I saw that map and I knew it was San Francisco, but I thought it was likelihood to get your car broken in. That's a real map.
All over
Likelihood
Europe.
of getting your catalytic converter stolen.
Literally.
Chanting, gas the Jews, F the Jews. In American cities, we have protesters calling for global Islamic war and demanding that Israel be wiped off the map, or
can't
in
wait
the
for
words
this
of
question.
Congresswoman
I can't wait
Tlaib,
for
from the
this
river
question.
to the sea. Israel, meanwhile, is vowing to eradicate the terrorist group Hamas. But according
Wait,
to a
can I say
report in the New York
something?
Times this
Right
week, U.S.
before-
officials have warned Israel.
Right before we
that
went
they
live,
need
the New
more,
York Times put out an
to fight
article
more
about
surgically in
how
Gaza.
Israel,
Governor
they
Newsom-
found conclusively knew about the Hamas attack
For a year.
on October 7th, a month in advance. They had highly detailed intelligence analysis. They knew exactly what was going to happen, and they let it. So, like, save me a year in advance. Did I misquote that?
I saw something. I just saw the headline. I didn't get a chance to read it.
I thought it was a month.
But Egypt was saying that they told Israel a month before, or like 2 weeks before, or something like that.
No, it is more than a year. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was more than a year ago.
More than a year. Oh my god.
More than a year.
Yeah. Yeah. the
And they
headline.
also, in the last minute, gave that music festival a permit to have an extra day, to play an extra day. They weren't even supposed to be there. They gave them the
It sounded
very.
fishy.
Inside
Fucking-
job.
Now they're
Crazy.
burying the cars that were left in the parking lot.
Ray, what are you getting at?
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I'm now going to play the question because I'm like, okay, how is it going to be set up to where Gavin Newsom is Hamas? I just
Right.
gotta see how this.
Gavin Newsom, why are you a fucking terrorist?
Gavin Newsom, why'd you give Benjamin Netanyahu a wedgie?
30 seconds for you. We have to cut back on time.
All right.
How can Israel win the war against this terrorist group using surgical strikes and directions
Well, this is the
from Joe
war in
Biden?
Israel. I visited Israel. I met with families, hostages. I saw videos of children being killed in front of their parents, parents being killed in front of their children. I saw a beheading with a garden hoe. This is not
Yeah,
complicated
me
to
too.
me.
But
This is
for
a
me,
fight
it was
between
when I was
good and evil.
11, and I
Hamas
just
is a
found the
terrorist
internet for the first
organization.
time.
They
So
need
Hive leak,
not
baby.
just for the people
get
of
on my
Jews
level.
around
We
the
were
world,
watching
but for
snuff
the
films after
Palestinians
school.
themselves. When it
I'm
comes
still
to
watching them.
there's a-
I was watching
you
one
just
on his
mentioned a
phone
lot of
right
things
now.
that-
I get them on Instagram.
It's just Jacksonville rappers.
Papa loves him
There-
some smut is like an old saying of mine.
They're literally on my Instagram Explore page. I swear to you.
Bama's like a Washington Post investigation waiting to happen.
He said nothing. You're
calling him anti-Semitic?
Marching. I'm saying he countenanced anti-Semitism, and now Palestinians themselves. But when it comes to the garden hoe, this is not complicated to me. This is a fight between good and evil. Hamas is a terrorist organization, and they need to be eliminated, not just for the people of Israel and Jews around the world, but for the Palestinians themselves. But when it comes to the issue of anti-Semitism, you just mentioned a lot of things that have been occurring on Ron DeSantis' watch. He said nothing.
You're calling him anti-Semitic?
Marching. I'm saying he countenanced.
That was okay. Can you imagine any other debate moderator going, "Wait, you're calling that guy anti-Semitic? Come on, you can't do that." I'm going to be impartial.
Rachel Maddow is like, whoa, guys.
Not this guy with his finger in my ass right now.
Sean Hand is starting the debate like, I'm going to be back from the store in 10 minutes. I'm just getting a pack of cigarettes.
Anti-Semitism, and now he's finally talking a big game ever since October 7th. How about the mass man marching in the street?
Fairness of time,
the rope.
gentlemen,
you said nothing.
Governor DeSantis,
nothing on these issues. Look at the record.
Governor
DeSantis.
Short than a second Holocaust. They want to destroy Israel and wipe every single Jew off the map. Israel has every right to defend itself to the hilt. Biden should not be kneecapping them in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, Biden stranded a lot of American citizens over there. We're trying to get home. So I did an executive order in Florida, and we sent planes over to Israel right in the aftermath of October 7th, and we saved over 700 Americans, mostly Floridians, but not all, because Biden wouldn't do it. Finally, Biden started dumping people in Greece, and then they were sending a bill to the Americans just to get to Greece. If you come to this country illegally, they will pay to fly you all over the place. They'll put you up in a hotel at no expense. But yet our own citizens fleeing a war zone, they're going to send you a bill. Joe Biden failed those people, and we stepped up and got it.
Let me ask you. I want to turn to the
anti-Semitism.
We don't have a lot of time
on your streets for years.
I want to turn to the issue, gentlemen, of China. I talk
Ron
about this
DeSantis
often.
just says,
intellectual
how
property.
can I be anti-Semitic? I just fucked a Jewish bitch.
On some Kanye West. That's like his latest song lyric.
Yeah.
So this debate was supposed to only be an hour and a half, and there's supposed to be a post show with Hannity for the 30 minutes afterwards. Clearly, they've gone to that show. They probably get Nielsen ratings, and they're like, "Oh, this is good." So I don't think there's a lot of people watching this, but people are seeing this. I mean, the Bernie Sanders debates actually got some. So
we're seated for it. So
administration has been tough with them. What would you do differently?
Well, first, in Florida, we banned China from buying land in our state because you're right.
We made it
you don't
illegal
want them
to
buying
be
farmland or
Chinese.
land near military bases. So we acted. We also got the Confucius Institutes out of our universities. China should not be involved in our universities at all. What you need to do is you need to have hard power in the Indo-Pacific to deter China's ambitions. You need to take the economy, and we need to decouple from China. We're dependent on them for so many things.
Gavin Newsom's going to be like, I just balled up with Xi Jinping. Fuck you, being Ron DeSantis.
Bam. Please tell me you heard that. Ron DeSantis is like first day on the job. He opens the White House doors like it's a saloon in a animated movie, and he's wearing his cowboy boots. We're going to decouple the American economy from China. We are going to undo 50 years of bipartisan neoliberal policy.
How are you going to get any of your products, Americans? Don't know. Not my problem.
We're also going to blow up Walmart.
I'm like, yo, you think gas prices are bad now? Americans are going to be complaining like, hey, yo, why is my fentanyl so expensive?
They called you Red Ron for a reason, because of your complete hypocrisy.
All right, we're almost out of time.
Talking a big game. I confronted Xi on the issue of fentanyl, Ron. I confronted them
on human rights. You didn't.
I absolutely did with the foreign minister.
I'm sorry.
I don't. I'm sorry. I just love the idea that the upcoming election is going to be decided on like who cares about the Uyghurs the most. Like, I'll tell you who cares about the Uyghurs the least. Every American. Every American cares about. Nobody knows who they are. Nobody fucking cares. We're an apathetic country. Like, you don't, and it's so bizarre to me that like every presidential candidate has to like take their turn talking about the Uyghurs, and it's like, you know who's not going to give a single fuck? The people who vote for you. Like, I'm sorry, it's just so bizarre. I don't get it. Like, I care, but like, let's be realistic. Most people don't even know generally what the Uyghurs are.
Hell no. What the hell? The Uyghurs, like the Taliban said, fuck the Uyghurs. Like, you swear, like the Taliban, like the day they're like, yes, China, come please help us out. Fuck those Uyghurs.
Right.
We don't care. They're Shia. We don't care. Like,
Right.
The last question is about to come. I just gotta say the irony of all of your points are super valid. Like, but like the idea of Guantanamo Ron standing on for human rights is
literally
rich.
Also, like, he just did a question that was like, how hard can we genocide Palestinians? And like, how can we be sure that we eradicate every last Palestinian cockroach? And then Ron DeSantis is like, I care deeply about the Uyghurs. You don't care enough about the Uyghurs.
unbelievable.
I care so much about the Uyghurs. I'm supporting Cenk for president in 2020.
Cenk Uyghur.
Donald Trump cares about the riggers.
Oh, God. I love how he does the N-word for nuclear, and then he does the riggers thing. Man, I just say it, dude. I won't even hate you more or less. Just I'll respect you. Anyways, the last question is gonna come up. Then the debate's over. I'm gonna play it. The last question is going to be: you've both been to each other's states. Say something nice about the other person's state.
The last question is going to be, say the N-word.
Gavin Newsom's like, listen. No, okay, I'm not going to do it.
Have I in the past? Yeah. But I've worked.
Gavin's about to get so hyphy, Bam. You won't even know.
Gavin's like, only in race play is it ethical to say.
Exactly.
Oh, wait.
Yes,
go right ahead.
That's a good question.
You visited each other's state. Governor DeSantis, you can take as much time as you want. You have an extra 90 seconds. What is your favorite thing about the state of California? And
I give him 5 minutes for this.
go right ahead.
That's a good question.
All right, we'll stay longer. 5 minutes, Governor.
When I got orders as a Navy lieutenant to go to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, I had not spent any real time in California in my life. Florida native, and I'm very proud of the state. But I got down there, and that Strand is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And then all up and down, just a tremendous coastline. I do believe California has more natural advantages than any state in the country.
I'm sorry to belabor this, but this is a direct repeat of his opening.
Yeah,
it literally
also,
is.
Does he not know that Coronado's in San Diego? Like, does he not know that that's San Diego?
Right.
I wonder.
And I'll say, like, as someone who went to California, I've been to California exactly one time. I went to San Diego to visit my old college roommate. Like, I was struck by the beauty. Like, I landed there and I was immediately like, should I move here? Like,
when was this?
It was June of 2021. Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Nice.
I want to go back. I want to go to LA. I've never been to LA, so
Come to San Diego, we'll do it up.
Okay.
Although I don't live there anymore, but we'll do it up.
Okay. You coming, Dan?
Which is
Bam did not invite me. I don't get invited to these things. So
I didn't get invited to South Carolina, so
now we're gonna hash this out now.
why, when you have so many people leaving on net, that's hard to do. Like, people don't want to leave there because it really is such a beautiful area. I have very, very fond memories of that nice Strand down there in Southern California.
I love that. I mean,
What do you
Reagan,
I don't know what you love
Reagan
about
used to call
California.
California Coast of Dreams. By the way,
What do you love about Florida?
What I love about your question is the comedy in the question, meaning, you know what? We all want to be loved. We need to be loved. We all want to be protected, respected, and connected. I think there is a unity frame here.
Okay.
You said it well. I mean, I have no doubt Ron DeSantis loves this country. I love this country. It's not about red versus blue. It's red, white, and blue. The United States of America. And I think we're all better off when we're all better off. And so I appreciate this conversation.
He's testing that out for his speech at the DNC when he starts to roll out his 2028 campaign.
Right, his nominating speech.
Hear me now, quote me later. The only addendum I would add is that Bam is, more than 35% likely to be correct. 2024. But I trust Sean Hannity. He said he would only be 10 minutes away.
I appreciate you, Ron, being a family man. You got 3 incredible kids. I appreciate your wife, your sacrifice, and I appreciate.
Yes! 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 Right. I'm taking that $5 back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You can keep it. You can keep it. He mentioned the wife.
He said, and I quote, "I appreciate your wife."
Oh, he's gonna appreciate her, all right.
Those are fighting words in a lot of places of the South that apparently aren't Florida.
Oh yeah.
Them's is fighting words.
He's supposed to be like, wait, what the fuck you say?
Right.
He's supposed to be like hands on hips, like, what was that? What'd you say about my wife?
Appreciate your military service. But I also appreciate we do have fundamental differences about the fate and future of this country. And that's why I'm going to be working
starfish versus missionary.
So hard to get Joe Biden and Kamala Harris reelected in 2024.
You couldn't resist. You had to go right back to 2024. All right, here's the last question. Would you do this again?
Well, you know what?
I hope we can do
say anything nice about Florida.
Joe Biden should show up to a debate.
That's why
I have another 20 minutes, and I've got a lot of questions.
I'm happy to.
You want to stay?
Let's just do an extended hour. I'm happy to do it.
Okay, then
this has been fun.
I think it's been fun, and I think it's been more.
If either of you want to go, you can.
I'm probably gonna go in like 5 minutes, 7 minutes or so.
I've got time.
Okay. Be careful what you wish
entertaining.
for.
I'm sorry to the guests that I've invited. I got to take a break, though, in the meantime. We've got to pay some bills. It's not a cheap set we built for y'all.
Okay. Thankfully, we've paused a lot. So we're skip ahead.
All right, welcome back to Hannity, a red state, blue state debate. By mutual agreement, both candidates had other commitments, and they realized afterwards they couldn't stay longer, but we appreciate them all.
Oh, thank God. Okay, thank God.
Oh, it's over.
Yeah, it's actually over. That was kind of funny. They're like, okay, we're both staying. Okay, no, they're not. They're not. Okay. They probably had handlers going, okay, Ronnie.
DeSantis was like, I can't stay here. This guy said he appreciates my wife.
You have to go call her. You have to call her.
Babe, what the fuck is that? When was the last time you saw Gavin Newsom? Bitch.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
He did that on purpose too. He did that on purpose.
Greasy Gavin.
Oh, he's slick, yo.
I appreciate your wife.
Is he married? He's not married, right?
Yeah, he is married.
He's married,
Well,
I think someone who's part of the Kennedy lineage, right?
So they probably have some sort of agreement. Okay.
That's a come up.
I didn't think I would come out of this debate with a different opinion, but it's the same one of Gavin said the dumbest thing Ron DeSantis could have done was say yes to this debate while he was running an active presidential campaign and shadow running a presidential campaign, but not actually running a presidential campaign. And I don't think, there's some moments in there that Gavin Newsom doesn't look good to the right, which was by design, or to the left, which is Gavin Newsom. And so there's gonna be clips that come out of this. We're gonna see clips in 2028, inshallah, still paying attention to this. And there's some social media platforms around. We're gonna see clips of this circulating around then too, of things Gavin Newsom said that are gonna bite against him. That's all irrelevant because that's time on his side, and Ron DeSantis has to wake up tomorrow morning and he's actually running a campaign, and he has to eat all of the bad clips that Not just the one where Gavin said he appreciates his wife, because that's mostly, to be honest, the only one I'm going to be playing. But yes, that was my one prediction. It was a little bit, again, Gavin kept it G-rated for the Fox News audience. You don't want to, a lot of them on pacemakers. You don't want to freak them out that bad.
Right.
But so he didn't raise a leg on the podium. I'll give him that. But he made an illusion.
Imagine he's like, your wife and I, we had a drink the other night and we talked like.
Things got out of hand, man. I don't know how it.
No, like that's why it ends. Right, the cameras go off. DeSantis like, hey, what the fuck you say about my wife?
DeSantis is losing in a fight to Gavin Newsom, though. 100%.
By far. Ron DeSantis didn't get anything from that military training. Like
No.
Nothing. Like he skipped all that like grimy, gritty stuff.
He was at Guantanamo Bay as a lawyer.
Literally, like this. They're like, oh, you got to go run 4 miles. He's like, oh, my mommy said I can't. Like,
Bone spurs.
Yeah.
Bone spurs.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that Ron DeSantis is not gonna come out well with. I don't think it's not gonna change anyone's mind about Ron DeSantis or Gavin Newsom, really, especially on the stage by Fox News, which is why I'm like, low key, it's sort of a waste of Gavin Newsom's time. I want to say I wish he was doing better things, but there's not a lot in California Gavin does that is like, great. Like there's people. What I said is that Gavin Newsom is a company Democratic Party. He will not stray outside of the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party in California, at least, is very complacent because it's a state. A lot of people feel like they have safe seats, and it's a very cliquey system where you have to, the old Bernie Sanders thing that he hated about the party, which you have to go up a ladder and you have to, earn your chops and be this person's bitch for a little while and then have this position and then that position. And then maybe, just maybe, you're able to get in line after Hillary Clinton and then you can become president, right? You have to do that too. You have to follow the steps in California politics to get to that point. Gavin Newsom followed the steps. San Francisco mayor, attorney general of California, governor. Like, it is a process. Gavin Newsom trusts the process. And so because of that, because the Democratic Party is doing, like, if you had the blue majorities you would have, we should be communist. We should be welcoming Xi Jinping in the streets. I'm kidding, but we have those majorities. California had a surplus going into COVID, and we still couldn't even get universal health care passed. And I think Gavin Newsom put some wrenches into that, if I remember.
Well, but also it wasn't that long ago that California had a Republican governor. Like we've had a couple of Republican governors in my lifetime. There are a lot of red voters in California too. Like, because you do have some counties and some areas that are very conservative. But either way, I mean, going back, this was silly. It doesn't do anything for Ron DeSantis. I feel like Gavin Newsom was trying to talk about the nation a bit, and Ron DeSantis didn't do that at all.
Right.
You're focusing on California, and it's dude, your people just get to hellhole. That's it.
It was very much like Ron DeSantis was trying to get score points on Gavin Newsom, and Gavin Newsom was trying to score points in service of the Democratic Party in a general election, whether or not Ron DeSantis is the candidate. He's not the candidate. But they were just generally, because I mean, we talked about it earlier, but that point he went on about the abortion bans and how deeply unpopular they are was a really good fucking point, because he's underscoring a huge issue that the Republicans are going to have to contend with in 2024. I mean, so much so that the Democrats are working to get abortion on the ballot in key swing states, because they know that's going to get voters out to vote for Joe Biden. It's going to be their biggest downfall in 2024. And so harping on those points, or harping on how red states have more gun violence and how have higher murder rates, is he was doing what he needed to do for the Democratic Party. Ron DeSantis didn't do shit for the Republican Party this evening.
100%.
I gotta run. Love you guys.
all good. Thank you, ma'am. Good to see you. I know you've been on too, so for a while, so I'll let you go in a moment. But
Okay.
Henry Kissinger, we kind of talked about it in the beginning a little bit, like I guess just overall thoughts about that death. I mean, like generally fuck him, but
Yeah, it was like it was a good moment. My partner, I was cooking dinner. My partner
where
was
were
like,
you when you found out?
I was making chicken tinga in the kitchen, and my partner was like, he died. And I was like, who? And they were like, him. Henry Kissinger finally died. It was a great moment. And I mean, but here was I lamented over the fact that he kicked the can in the evening, because when the Queen died, we had a full work day of jokes and jubilation, general, glee and, elation,
More
enjoyment.
GJ words.
Right. We didn't get that with Henry, because it was just like he died and it's like nighttime, and like, I mean, it was earlier for
They
you, but I was like,
announced his death in the night.
right, he died earlier in the day.
He died early. He might have died a couple weeks ago. They're just like, let's not give him the satisfaction. If
Right.
Henry Kissinger could have died on like a Friday in August, he would have. Just to not give us the satisfaction of like news people being on it to like do a report. But yeah, that's what a great point of like being in the evening. Of course.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good moment, like horrible. And you're right. You said at the beginning of the show, we didn't see as much as I can't believe leftists are celebrating the death of Henry Kissinger, because like even the libs who would say stuff like that have to contend with the fact that Henry Kissinger is one of the most uniquely evil people to ever walk the face of the earth. Like truly like a comically evil character, no redeeming qualities. That individual enacted as much pain and suffering across the globe as he physically fucking could, and continued to influence foreign policy in this country until essentially the day he died.
Like, I'm trying to think of Western perspectives of history and how we look at like, the classic villain, like around for Hitler. I think is a little bit too much. Like we look at least like officials from different countries. Like we talk about Goebbels quite a bit. We talk about the policies of these violent regimes. And you got to wonder, like, or at least like I'm telling someone who grew up out of the country partially. I'm like, Henry Kissinger is a poster child for everything people joke about, but also really hate inside the US. From this like secret unaccountability of wars to finding the most brutal Agent Orange, like the most brutal ways to inflict violence, suffering upon people. I think about that anecdote where he was saying, oh, well, considering there are hotter women in country A versus country B, let's go for country B. I'm like, that's a scene in Oppenheimer. Like,
right.
It's when you say comically evil, you're right. And the point I was making earlier about like Joe Biden's statement, because you didn't see a lot of the usual finger wave about, oh, don't be killed. Joe Biden's statement, Dianne Feinstein. Now, we didn't love her, but it's a Democratic Party machine. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Just know it's like 4 paragraphs long. It's a statement. And I'm going to read this. As we mourn with her daughter, the Feinstein family, the people of California, may God bless Dianne Feinstein. We take comfort that Dianne is reunited again with her beloved Richard. And it begins with, he was a pioneering American, a true trailblazer, and a statement on Henry Kissinger. I'll never forget the first time I met Dr. Kissinger. I was a young senator and he was Secretary of State, giving a briefing on the state of the world. Just no opinions on that. By the way, this is a 1-paragraph thing here. Throughout our careers, we often disagreed, and often strongly. But from that first briefing, his fierce intellect and profound strategic focus was evident, which is a very British statement.
Yeah.
That's sarcastic. Long after retiring from government, he continued to offer his views and ideas in the most important policy discussion across multiple.
That
Even
statement is awesome because it's like he kept bothering us. This motherfucker wouldn't shut the fuck up.
I'm so glad you're on because like if you have a legal eye, you know the snide ass like shit that's between the lines.
Yeah.
This is my favorite part. Jill and I can send our condolences to his wife Nancy, his children Elizabeth, David, his grandchildren, and all those who loved him.
Not us. But, but surely those people exist.
Condolences to y'all. Y'all be
Right.
easy. Dianne Feinstein's was you reunited with your beloved husband. May God bless you.
God
We
bless
just lost
you.
a friend. Joe Biden. Our condolences
sure
to
they
those
put out,
who
like,
loved
a-
him.
I'm sure they put out even like a very flowery statement about or wait, no, he died during Trump. John McCain.
Yeah, that's right. was John McCain dying the famous clip of Trump at the helicopter going, I'm hearing that for the first time.
No, that was RBG. Yeah, she just you're telling me this for the first time. I'm just hearing this for the
Wow.
first.
Wow. I am.
Wow. Wow, what a life. What a life.
The only man in politics more online than Donald Trump is like, I'm just hearing that for the first time. No one told me. The people aren't telling me. So yeah, I think
He tried to, if I'm remembering right, he tried to deny John McCain like the funeral service that he was like obligated to give him. But you know, my statement on the passing of John McCain is womp womp. I don't care.
I have too clunky and too offensive of a joke. Not celebrating his, but
I like my war heroes who didn't get capped.
whenever I get faxed, whenever I get a booster, and you get like the tenderness, hard to call it. I'm getting them because I can't raise. That's the cleanest version of the joke out. But yeah, PACKWATCH to him. Who was the guy who? Dick Cheney is next up.
Dick Cheney, probably, yeah. Really quick, I'm sorry, just made me think of this. Can we watch this video that the DNC put out and Joe Biden tweeted to try to make Trump look bad, but it's just like all of his greatest hits.
Yeah.
Like some of the funniest statements I've ever. But yeah, fuck Henry Kissinger. Everyone's glad he's dead. You know, so much less hand wringing about people dancing on his grave. Like the Queen was a fun ass day, but people were like writing think pieces about how it's misogynistic to say that Trisha Paytas' baby is the reincarnation of Queen Elizabeth.
And that was just the take. That was like, yeah, the take atmosphere. But of course, there will be people like Chapo will do a reading series on someone who's defending Henry Kissinger and like will be
right.
But like, I feel like even the ghouls are like, you know what? Not this. I got other things to do this week. Other things like I can throw in another Israel Palestine article. Like that's totally fine. Those are doing numbers still. Like I can put Kissinger away. Sometimes you just decide to powder. But yes. So yeah, you said this is Joe Biden releasing one of those things I think his campaign's done well, which is just quote your enemies and let them speak for them. But you said this is of Trump and
to me, it's very funny.
That's the quote for the podcast audience. Why should I go to the cemetery? It's filled with losers.
Filled with losers. That's so funny. I'm sorry. That's so good. It's so good.
I mean, like it's the Family Guy joke about Vietnam War veterans.
Right. Suckers as they rub their hand across a coffin of a fallen soldier.
It's a black service member too. So person of color, woke suckers. That guy is smart. Why did he join the military?
That's my favorite because that's something I've said. Like, that's something I've said, you know, talking about someone I went to high school with. Like, oh, he was smart. Why did he join the military? Why did he do that to himself?
I don't get it. What was in it for them?
No, because he was right. I'm sorry. This video had me crying, laughing. Like, just like I understand that, like, to a normal person, they would be like, oh, reprehensible. But to me, I'm like, he's spitting for real, though.
My favorite part of this is always the subtle things for me. It says Donald J. Trump to the father of a fallen soldier. So, you know, they say a lot about Joe Biden, but it's all about like his empathy, how he knows death, he's experienced
The mourner in chief, yeah.
And so it's like, hey man, he might be like giving your kid a shoulder rub while talking about this, but it's like, hey, listen, man, I know about death. It sucks, right? Meanwhile,
burying a child is the hardest thing a father can ever do.
Donald Trump, I don't get it. What did he get out of it? I mean, like, what did you get? Like life insurance off of it? What's life insurance for that? It probably wasn't worth that much. I mean, he was to you, but you know, not
someone who has to bury their child. He's like, why the fuck did he do this shit?
I mean, considering how like Laura Trump or like one of Trump's ex-wives is just like buried under an unkempt part of
the golf
course, like on the back nine.
That's so insane, and I love that so much.
It's very funny. Like it's very, and I wish Donald Trump was just our Nathan Fielder. Like I just wish he was just a performance artist that had a budget, and you know we got to see the shows sometimes. Like I wish he was like Sacha Baron Cohen, like he did that angle. I hate that like that's the president or like a former president would be the future.
Yes, let's go. Me too, Trump. Me too.
Trump on John McCain. We're not going to support that loser's funeral.
That rocks.
Hey,
fuck
man.
John McCain. That guy did suck. He was a loser.
But he said that Barack Obama was a good, decent family man and not an Arab. So there's always
Barack Obama's not a Muslim. He's a decent. I made a video about that like years ago. And I was like, yeah, it's racist. This was a racist statement. And all the comments were like, you don't understand. He meant it out of the kindness of his heart that he hates Arabs. Like,
no, like that was seen on MSNBC. I remember it at that time. And like, it didn't make sense to me, but I didn't have the full vocabulary of it at that time. It's like, why are you celebrate? It's like, you're crapping on one group to say like, oh no, he's good. He's not only is like he's one of the good ones. It's like, no, he's one of the good ones, and he's not like those even worse ones.
Right.
Like,
he's good because he's not that thing.
He's not a war hero. He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Me too.
I mean,
I also disrespect our troops.
In fairness, Donald Trump did lead. So,
right.
It's
crazy because like they
hate wars too.
They hate you, Biden. They love Trump. Like all the dumbest people I knew in high school joined the military. No offense if any of you are watching, but like you know why you joined. You had no other prospects. And like all like I talked to them and they're all like, yeah, everyone in the military is super right wing and they love Trump.
I know folks in the military and it's the same thing. Because it's cosplay for them. At this point, if you're in the military, you're not conscripted to get in there. The old excuses of, oh, you can get an education for cheap, or oh, you can get some money, like those things aren't even true anymore. So what you get in there are like LARPers for America who grow up that way, which means like they have family who's military, or they're just like, you know, they could be Ron DeSantis's campaign managers, or like the war room guy who had the Stalingrad on the video. Like they could just be those freaks. You only have those people. So yeah, of course it's gonna be Trump support too, even though Trump wouldn't bat an eye. I think you'll appreciate this. Probably see Family Guy references.
Monuments I read about in school. There's the Washington Monument. There's the Obama Monument. And there's the Vietnam War Memorial.
Hey, check out that Vietnamese guy giving the business to those Vietnam vets.
Scoreboard! Scoreboard! Oh, what happened to your friend? Hey, I know that guy. I kill him. He cried like a bitch. Vietnam undefeated.
Let's go. They earned that shit. They earned that shit. I saw a Vietnamese man in my neighborhood wearing a Vietnam War veteran hat the other day, and I so badly wanted to ask him, what side were you fighting for?
There used to be a guy on the internet, I forget his name, because he went through so many Twitter accounts he got banned. He had a merch store that I got a couple of things from. I never got this hat, but one said in that style of hat said Vietnam War runners up.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, I was gonna say I shouldn't be talking too much shit because like if everything goes bad in my life, in a couple of months I might be a JAG attorney because they pay well. But I don't want to have to go to office. I don't want to have to go to boot camp. That shit's lame as hell. I'm not trying to run laps or something or sleep in a bunk.
I mean, if Ron DeSantis can do it, I'm sure you're much more athletically capable. But that's still for a legal job. That's a lot.
Right. Why do I have to go to boot camp to defend people who you hold like in fucking contempt in like military court?
I come from the business and finance world. Do they make the military accountant also do like push-ups and like? I
think they do. I think they do. Yeah.
Back in the day when all the journalists like Walter Cronkite or whatever, or like Andy Rooney, they were journalists in World War II because they made everyone go, but they're like, okay, yeah, you're not even good enough for cannon fodder. So write some silly little articles for us, will you?
Right.
Send some dispatches home to tell them about the front lines. Like,
even boost morale or something.
Even they had to do push-ups and sit-ups and run.
Right.
So
right.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. American military, they're not sending their best. They're not sending their best. I'm gonna go through some more Henry Kissinger, but thank you for joining to go through all of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed, but thanks for having me on. I hope everybody enjoyed the debate. It was, it was a time. It happened. Let me raid your Twitch. Oh, it's so Dan from the web, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just didn't type raid. I just typed your name, so it didn't do anything. I'm not going to just for my audience. I'm not going to stream tomorrow because I'm hosting the second hour of the Power Panel with Jordan Ewell, so it'll be a good time, and we'll have good opinions. So make sure you watch. Okay, but thanks for having me on, and I hope you have a good rest of the stream.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Much love to you. Okay, y'all, thank you for staying on. Hello, Ravana viewers and watchers. Of course, I'm doing Power Report. Thank you for all of the follows. Late Bloomer. Shout out to all the folks on YouTube holding it down. Cardinal520, thank you for the follow. I get a lot of follows here. Bud Monkey 86, thank you for the follow. Dear God, it is. We'll do a little bit of stuff on. I do want to go on to another fun thing because it's just been such a idea. But I want to go to. Can someone in chat tell me whatever happened to George Santos? Did he get actually? Because there's a time limit on how long you can do this. Once you trigger an expulsion vote, you can't go back. So you've got to decide this in a day or two. But I want to play this clip of George Santos, guns blazing, 39 hot, 38 hot. Here he is. He doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care anymore. That's what I love about this.
You, sir, are a crook. I know I should direct my comments to the chair. I yield back.
My colleague wants.
You, sir, are a crook.
Max Miller is calling George Santos.
You, sir, are a crook. I know I should direct my comments to the chair. I yield back.
My colleague wants to come up here, call me a crook. Same colleague who's accused of being a woman beater. Are we really going to ignore the facts that we all have passed and we all have the media coming out against us on a daily basis? I can go and read about all my colleagues. I'm not going to stand here to smear them. I'm not going to stand here and use the time I have to say ill things about my colleagues. I refuse to stoop to that level.
You, sir, are a crook. I know I should direct my comments to the chair. I yield back.
My colleague wants to come
up. It's playing over again. Sorry, late bloomer. I was thanking you for subbing. I really appreciate that. And also saw that you were coming from Ray's stream. So thank you and good to see you. And thank you for subbing. I do PowerPort live Thursday. And as we get into the holidays, I'll do some game stream. So thank you for holy crap. So yeah, this guy goes to Max Miller goes to Representative Santos. You're a crook. And Santos goes to Miller, well, you beat you beat women. Guns blazing. I keep calling him Ron. I was doing this for a few hours. George Santos said, oh, if you're going to take me out, I'm dragging you down with me. He said, I'm dragging you down with me. I mean, we hate everyone in politics because they lie so profusely. We saw that with folks who were watching the debate earlier between Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis when Sean Hannity started and he was saying, oh, we're going to keep this very fair and balanced and I'm not going to be too concerned. So the thing about George Santos is that he lies so brazenly and so cheekily like he knows he's being caught. He just doesn't care. He will just let that lie run. Let it hang. Let your nuts hang. Let it go. Go for it. And as a result of that, he has gotten the contempt of so many in his own party, mind you, that they want him out. Now, that moment where he waves up that little paper and he's all like, let me see if I have it here.
Out against us on a daily basis. I can go and read about all my colleagues. I'm not going to stand here to smear them.
I could go and read about all my colleagues. I'm not going to stand here and smear them. That wasn't a threat. That was a promise. That wasn't a threat. That was a promise. And I know that wasn't a threat. That was a promise because you saw what George Santos literally just did. George Santos was literally like, oh, you're going to come for me for being a crook? All this stuff is very publicly out in the air? Well, we all know you're a woman beater. I don't know, maybe I got to Google this Max Miller woman beater thing because I haven't heard about it. I haven't heard about Max in my life. But this is whose fault? I just followed. Thank you. Sorry, I don't have my creator dash. But everything I'm seeing on the web for this, I have Google up right now. It's all about this. So it sounds like, let me see how else it's being reported. Miller, a former Trump White House aide, was accused of slapping his then girlfriend and Trump's former press secretary, Stephanie Grisham, in 2020, which said resulted in her ending the relationship. First of all, God bless. Because dude sounds like a piece of shit. That's some hot goss though. And I just like can't believe it's. I mean, I'm not surprised because pity. But yeah. Squishmallow Dragon, thank you for following. The Elusive Gay Foot, thank you for following. And Lux Manifestus, thank you. Really appreciate. Mouse and the Dragon Onesie, I think I said already. Spud Monkey 26. Ghost Kitty 9. Portland Report, who followed a while ago. Luddite 11, who followed a while ago. Killer Queen 76. Jason Society. Who also gave a shout out down here. So we love that. Queen Witch 66. A lot of great folks. But Santos going out like this, which is the New Republic article that we're also seeing here. And yeah, it's kind of reporting on this. So, like you said on here, this is the resolution to expel George Santos. They can't sit on this. They can't, just do the usual Congress thing. They have to make a decision on this. They have to make that decision pretty quickly at this point. And so, if they want to do that, it's going to happen. Oh, today's Thursday? Friday. It could happen tomorrow. By the time you're watching this, you're watching the VOD. There's a really good chance that George Santos. I should really go by his alter. There's a good chance that the name. I forget the dragon, but there's a good Kitara Rivace. There's a good chance that Kitara Rivace is not going to be. Sucks. I'm gonna go through how it was read on Democracy Now, how it was said on Democracy this morning, because I think kind of just during the general headlines of the show.
This news is fun.
Of Henry Kissinger. You got some good parts of it, but oh yeah, right here.
Legal action. Palestine Legal says it's received more than October 7th. That's triple the number Kissinger the architect for the entire year last year. Former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, the architect of a highly militarized U.S. foreign policy under Presidents Nixon and Ford, has died at the age of 100. In the late 60s and 70s, Kissinger oversaw a massive expansion of the war in Vietnam and the secret bombings of Laos and Cambodia, where as many as 150,000 civilians were killed. In Latin America, Kissinger supported dictatorship that used
150,000 killed, nearly 150,000. Those campaigns in Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos.
Torture and murder as tools of political repression. From Bolivia to Uruguay to Argentina. In Chile, Kissinger helped topple the democratically elected government of Salvador Allende, ushering 17 years of dictatorship under General Augusto Pinochet.
The toppling of the Allende government, for folks who want to dig into episodes of the Michael Brooks Show, for really a case study on what the Cold War did to the global left. You have to check out the story of Salvador. BCat K, good to see you. Henry Kissinger, both on an official measure and behind the scenes, working through back channels that sometimes people above the chain of command, so the president wasn't even fully aware of. These are things that he would do. Covert operations, trying to get it off his hands, off the American government's hands, but ultimately ended in horrible, horrible instances of violence.
In 1975, Kissinger and President Ford met with the Indonesian dictator General Suharto, giving him the go-ahead to invade East Timor, which led to the killing of a third of the Timorese population. The Pulitzer Prize-winning author and historian Greg Grandin once estimated Kissinger's actions may have led to the deaths of up to 4 million people. After headlines, Professor Grandin will join us to discuss Henry Kissinger's life and legacy.
So when we're talking about, okay, who's the next Henry Kissinger? You can't even talk about people like, Hillary Clinton, any of the currently alive American, including Trump. because, maybe Bush, but they just don't have that on the scoreboard the way Kissinger. Kissinger is truly an American. Out of the 20th century, I'm not sure if there was any figure, not counting involvements, but definitely in the second half of the 20th century, I don't think there's any figure in America more transformative in a bad way, than Henry Kissinger. So, from more on,
this news is
coups and even genocide. Kissinger, who was born in Germany, served as U.S. Secretary of State under Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford from 1973 to 1977. He also served as National Security Advisor from 1969 to 1975. He's the only U.S. official to ever simultaneously hold both posts. He won the Nobel...
So, National Security Advisor and Secretary of State. He was holding... Oh, Bad Lefty. I saw that thing on YouTube. I need to look into that 10 message. Let me figure out why that's happening, because I'm sure it's like a chat setting. But
75. He's the only U.S. official to ever simultaneously hold both posts. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1973 with his North Vietnam counterpart, Lee Duc-to. During his time in office, Henry Kissinger oversaw a massive expansion.
As people forget, he won a Nobel Peace Prize, which is like wild, right? Because, yeah, I mean, I don't even need to explain why after we're seeing all of this. But
of the war in Vietnam and the secret bombings of Laos and Cambodia, where as many as 150,000 civilians were killed in the U.S. strikes, as Kissinger told the military, quote, anything that flies or anything that moves. In South Asia, Kissinger backed the Pakistani military genocidal war against East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh. In Latin America, declassified documents show how Kissinger secretly intervened across the continent, from Bolivia to Uruguay to Chile and Argentina. In Chile, Kissinger urged President Nixon to take a, quote, harder line against Chile's democratically elected president, Salvador Allende. On September 11, 1973, Allende was overthrown by the U.S.-backed general Augusto Pinochet. Kissinger once said, quote, I don't see why we need to stand by and watch a country go communist due to the irresponsibility of its own people.
In 1975, Henry Kissinger and President Gerald Ford met with the Indonesian dictator General Suharto to give him the go-ahead to invade East Timor, which Indonesia did on December 7, 1975. The Indonesian military killed a third of the Timorese population, one of the worst genocides of the late 20th century. Kissinger also drew up plans to attack Cuba in the mid-70s after Fidel Castro sent Cuban troops to Angola to fight forces linked to apartheid South Africa. At home, Kissinger urged President Nixon to go after Pentagon Papers.
I think I have a good analogy here. Is that everything that is said, a lot overblown? I won't say overblown. These are really real. But I think what gets lost in sometimes extravagant discussions about Russia in our politics are the anti-democracy. Like how the Russian state helps to, or moves in such a way that I'm just painting. Don't like on the. There we go. Have a little more. But when we're talking about repression in places like we're talking about repression in places like democracies being non-existent, they're spying, and you have aspects of the government whose goal is it's an imperial goal, is to expand beyond your borders, to go beyond your reach, to do crazy stuff like that. And the closest American equivalent to that kind of person, which is like what Vladimir Putin, he worked in the KGB and was trying to do and has apparently done poisonings and killings outside of his own borders towards his political enemies over many, many decades now. Again, as a KGB agent, and a part of the KGB, also as a leader in Russia. This is even before the war in Ukraine. We're just seeing with Crimea, with Ukraine, with other things involving NATO countries, that there are perhaps misguided, but still very present imperial motives there. I don't think Vladimir Putin is reading from a Henry Kissinger book, but I will say, like, when you have, this is not a tanky defense podcast, but when you have tankies, find it very funny when people who are from America, or people who are, generally liberal and aren't that outwardly critical about the U.S. war machine, are talking about the repressive state and the repressive conditions that are happening in Russia, because they are very similar to things that the American state has done. And most of the time, those things happened under Henry Kissinger. It was a long way to get around to that. But what I mean to say is that Henry Kissinger is kind of a Putin in a sense, like an American Putin, maybe, is where I'll land on, based on his philosophy, based on, ruthlessness. I think Kissinger is a lot more successful than Putin. The war in Ukraine's been wildly deadly. And, this has nothing to say, nothing of Russia's internal assault on whistleblowers and people who don't agree with the government of, what am I trying to say? The people who don't condone or like even the government that there are under Russia. They think it's really repressive. This stuff with Pussy Riot, that's what I'm trying to go. But also like Nicolas Sarkozy, like who tried to run for office against him, how he got poisoned. There have been Russian oligarchs who used to be pro-Putin, and then they said afterwards that they were no longer pro-Putin for whatever reason. They mysteriously fall from their feelings or commit suicide, quote unquote, or whatever. Yeah, like Late Bloomer was saying, Putin's an absolute fascist. And in ideology, absolutely Henry Kissinger. CIA operation. We can go on and on. We'll have an expert.
Whistleblower Dan Ellsberg, who Kissinger called the most dangerous man in America. The historian Greg Grandin once estimated Kissinger's actions may have led to the deaths of 3, maybe 4 million people. While human rights activists have long called for Kissinger to be tried for war crimes, he remained a celebrated figure in Washington and beyond, serving as an advisor to both Republican and Democratic administrations. We turn now to Greg Grandin. He's the Pulitzer Prize-winning author and professor of history at Yale University. His books include Kissinger's Shadow, The Long Reach of America's Most Controversial Statesman. His new piece for The Nation is a people's obituary of Henry Kissinger. He also wrote the introduction to the new book just out, Only the Good Die Young, the verdict on Henry Kissinger. Greg, welcome back to Democracy Now! So give us this people's history of Henry Kissinger. As we see in the mainstream media, he's hailed as the man who opened communication with China, led to a détente with Russia. What is your version of events?
Well, I think you summed up very well the version of events, the number of war crimes that he was involved in. Kissinger's life is fascinating because it spans a very consequential bridge in the United States history, from the collapse of the post-war consensus, that happens with Vietnam. And Kissinger is instrumental in kind of recreating a national security state that can deal with dissent, that can deal with polarization, that actually thrived on polarization and secrecy and learning to manipulate the public in order to advance a very aggressive foreign policy. I mean, we can go into the details, but I do want to say that his death has been as instructive as his life. I mean, if you look at the obituaries and notes of condolences, they just reveal, I think, a moral bankruptcy of the political establishment, certainly in the transatlantic world, in the larger NATO sphere, just an unwillingness or incapacity to comprehend the crisis that we're in, and Kissinger's role in that crisis. They're celebratory, they're inane, they're vacuous. They're really quite remarkable. And if you just think back over the last year, the celebrations, the betting of his 100th anniversary, 100th birthday, is living to 100 years. I think it's a cultural marker of.
Omega Shannon Dragon, hello, good to see you. Sasha G saying, I guess I never thought about how he got started. Yeah, it's really interesting. Where the hell does he come from? How does he get so powerful? Kind of getting.
Last year, the celebrations, the betting of his 100th anniversary, 100th birthday, is living to 100 years. I think it's a cultural marker of just how bankrupt the political class in this country is. So his death is almost as instructive as his life.
Well, we had you on, Greg, when he turned 100, when Kissinger turned 100. In that interview, you said that the best way to think about Kissinger isn't necessarily as a war criminal. Could you explain why?
Yeah, because that is the way. I mean, Christopher Hitchens popularized thinking about him as a war criminal, and that as a way of elevating Kissinger in some ways as somehow an extraordinary evil. And it's a fine line because he did play an outsized role in a staggering number of atrocities and dealing misery and death across the globe to millions of people. But there's a lot of war criminals. I mean, this country is stocked with war criminals. There's no shortage of war criminals. And thinking about him as a war criminal kind of dumbs us down. It doesn't allow us to think with Kissinger's, use Kissinger's life to think about how the United States, for example, Kissinger started off as a Rockefeller Republican, a liberal Republican, an advisor to Nelson Rockefeller, who thought Nixon was far out of the mainstream and a dangerous sociopath, I think, as he put it. And yet when Nixon won, and he actually helped him win by struggling a peace deal with North Vietnam, he made his peace with Nixon, and then he went on, into public office. And he thought.
So there's kind of your answer to your question, Sasha G, about where things are going and like how things are moving in that regard, I guess. Squishmallow Dragon saying, it's not letting me subscribe to you. I can't what's up to Twitch tonight. Follow you. Sorry about that. I put in some strict things in my chat, which I need to, because I was getting brigade, and so I had to strengthen. But I'm gonna fix that. But yeah, to that point, basically, Kissinger came up, according to this interview with Greg Grandin, who's done a lot of description on Henry. I think he's a good source on that. Is that he was really slimy. He started out as the kind of person who would sound on paper to be, oh, Nixon's too radical. I don't like his policy. He's more of a Rockefeller Republican. Rockefeller Republicans are the kinds of Republicans that Bush and Obama era Democrats respect and oftentimes model themselves off of. Because you gotta think, Rockefeller was the 60s, and so these people are coming of age of politics. People in the 2000s who are coming of age of politics, if they were even a kid around the Rockefeller time, they'll be in their 50s. That's prime political age. So when they talk about like the Washington mindset, it's shaped by a lot of these people. And I think it's really telling that someone like Kissinger could hide in the guise of being a moderate and work his way into a really radical place. He said he was against Nixon and then ended up working for Nixon, especially what was just mentioned there. There's been a lot of situations, especially like during the Reagan era, where you found out that acts that were being done on the executive level, on the federal level, were being stalled or changed or adjusted on the basis of political. And people kind of assume that, like conspiracy theorists go, oh, you know why gas prices are so high? Because he's going to lower them right before the election. So we all go, oh, thanks. And then we're going to vote for him. Gas prices don't totally work like that. And I will fix that. But even in doing that, that is how he was able to get in. So it's these moderates, it's these people who you ask them direct questions on, okay, where's your stance on human rights? You think are human. And they give you dodgy, DC Gavin Newsom kind of answers. I'm not saying they're all going to become Henry Kissinger. I'm just saying don't have a shock or a level of surprise when these people get into office and they make decisions and they support ideas that sound way different from their campaign rhetoric. Talking, happy, happy, joy, joy. We're going to do this thing. We're going to love everyone. Everyone's great. We're going to try to make everyone good. And then you go in there and you get the job and you're like, okay, who are we going to kill first? Where are the bombs going to go? What defense contract is going to get signed? So, yeah. It's preventing. What is going on with like my YouTube? Everything. People are saying they can't sub on. I think on YouTube there's something I need to turn. Thank you all for. I've been a mess the past couple of months. Being too busy, and so I need to turn on all the monetization things, so that'll help. So, especially during December and January, these are like the quieter months. Planning live, or I'm gonna fix all that stuff. Also, my restream is sometimes iffy. Like sometimes that gets slow. Sorry, not restream. What's this called? StreamYard. Yeah, sometimes that gets slow as I'm going through it. But I have fiber internet. Very good. I'm watching my stream should be very good. My computer might be a little choppy. It looks pretty fine right now. But thank you for the heads up, Aussie Planet Dragon. If you're having issues that badly, maybe go to YouTube. But sorry. Late Bloomer said, all the political shit that was happening back then had only one effect on us young Americans. We knew that the US government wanted to come out and abduct us against our wills to serve in the army. Their army to send us and fight against an unknown enemy. Damn. That's powerful. I feel like that's a lot of what. I mean, if you're staying on, you said that's it, I'm done. So if that's like it, having a good, then thanks for joining. Good. Also, try YouTube if the stream isn't working for some reason, because I'm also on YouTube. YouTube.com/Dan.com/Dan. And maybe try the stream on YouTube, so it should be. But yeah, there's a lot there about how these kind of figures sneak into politics, how they work their way in, how it happens.
Reagan was too extreme, and yet he made his peace with Reagan. Then he thought the neocons were too extreme, and he made his peace with the neocon. Then he even made his peace with Donald Trump. He celebrated Donald Trump almost as a kind of embodiment of his theory of a great statesman being able to craft reality as they want to through their will. So you see Kissinger, as the country moves right, you see Kissinger moving with it. So just that trajectory is very useful to think with. If you also think about his secret bombing of Cambodia, and then trace out that bombing, it's like a bright light, a trace of red running from Cambodia to the current endless war on terror. What was considered illegal? I mean, Kissinger bombed Cambodia in secret because it was illegal to bomb another country that you weren't at war with in the 1960s and 1970s. His old colleagues at Harvard, who were all Cold Warriors, none of them peace liberals, marched down to Washington. They didn't even know about the bombing. They went to protest the invasion of Cambodia. And now, it is just considered a fact of international law that the United States has the right to bomb countries, that third-party countries that we're not at war with, that gives safe haven to terrorists. It's just considered commonplace. So you can see this evolution and drift towards endless war through Kissinger's life. You could also Kissinger's life is also useful to think about how as a public official, first National Security Advisor and then Secretary of State to Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford, Kissinger created much of the chaos that would later necessitate and require a transition to what we call neoliberalism. But then out of office, as the head of Kissinger Associates, Kissinger helped to broker that transition to neoliberalism, the privatization of much of the world, of Latin America.
So to get into that and break it down, so what he was saying there was that even before neoliberalism, there was Henry Kissinger. I don't think we can point, he's definitely one of the big figures. I'd say for the foreign policy aspects of neoliberalism, Kissinger's a pretty good figure for that. I think for the domestic aspects of neoliberalism and the foreign aspects, Ronald Reagan's a really good figure. Lyndon B. Johnson, I think most presidents at that point, save for maybe Jimmy Carter, but maybe Jimmy Carter in certain circumstances here or there, fell really quickly to this. You had Kissinger and Associates, which was a private group outside of Kissinger's official dealing. And they worked, in the private sector for international dealing, leveraging Kissinger's connections all over the globe. We're interested in this project of essentially looting periphery countries, so-called third world countries, and extracting their natural resources and wealth to process them second world or industrial countries, Soviet Union, China, and then filter those up to first world countries and those factories. This would be Western Europe, this would be States, North America, Japan to some extent. Japan would be someone maybe the second or first world, second, and build a system of a global economy where it's a race to the bottom in wages and a race to the top in profits. And you see that on the global stage of capitalism, where you have a small number of rich countries who have majority of the wealth than most of the billions of people in the world combined. And even within those countries, wealth disparities that are so ridiculous that you have, a couple hundred, couple thousand people have more than the rest of hundreds of millions combined. That's a very close, that's a very close idea to what's going on in today. Like how it's set up globally is kind of how it's being set up internally. So when you say like, oh, when Ron DeSantis says things like, oh, we're going to stop doing dealings with China, we're going to stop working with China, that doesn't mean American jobs are going to come back. Because American jobs really came back. All the things that we take for granted, like iPhones, which some are made in China, some are made in India now, because it's a race to the bottom for cheap labor. India and Indonesia and Bangladesh, they will work for even less than compared to the United States, China will work. Because China's economy is, and now Chinese wages are, and so you can't pay Chinese workers fractions of a dollar anymore and get the amount of labor that America. So Ron DeSantis and any Republican president, and like probably most Democratic presidents, not all, unless they were actually about democratic socialism, could participate in this global the bottom of exploitation of labor, capital, and extraction of resources from countries. And so you see this, like Henry Kissinger working in the government and doing the revolving door thing of coming out of it and then figuring out how to accelerate these deals so that private sector companies could work with foreign governments to cut deals where those foreign governments get some cash. They'll call it taxes, they'll call it revenue, they'll call it tariffs, but foreign governments get cash, and in return, these companies will come to these foreign countries and build businesses. They'll give the local people jobs. Those politicians will get the credit for it. And those companies can then lower their labor costs, pay people less, get rid of union jobs and good paying jobs in the United States, and ship goods all across the world, contributing to climate change. And all of these layering intersectional issues in leftist politics and politics in general can kind of, really build up in this. Sorry, Henry Kissinger is like uniquely evil because it touches on all these other different. Dick Cheney kind of does, but Dick Cheney kind of just took the reins of a world he. This is a world builder. It's scary to think. I'm glad that it's working better on.
America, of Eastern Europe, of Russia. So you see that that transition from a public political politician or public policymaker, and then going on to making untold wealth as a private citizen in this transition. So there's many ways in which Kissinger's life kind of maps the trajectory
Jules T in the house. Much love. Good to see you.
Of the United States. You know, they celebrated him at the New York Public Library as if he was the American century incarnate, and in many ways he was. You know, he really his career really does map nicely onto the trajectory of the United States and the evolution of the national security state and its foreign policy, and and the broken world that we're all trying to live in, as your last two statements
Greg,
showed.
I want to go to Henry Kissinger in his own words. He's speaking in 2016 when he defended the secret bombing of Cambodia.
Nixon ordered an attack on the base areas within 5 miles of the Vietnamese border that were essentially unpopulated. So when the phrase carpet bombing is used, it is, I think, in the size of the attacks, probably much less than what the Obama administration has done in similar base areas in Pakistan, which I think is justified. And therefore, I believe that what was done in Cambodia was justified.
So that was Henry Kissinger in
just saying hi to some folks in chat. Jules T, Looney Tunes, good to see you. Hope that leftist mafia was good. Thank you, Jeffrey Wright, for
2016, he was speaking at the LBJ Library. The late celebrity chef Anthony Bourdain once said, "Once you've been to Cambodia, you'll never stop wanting to beat Henry Kissinger to death with your bare hands. You'll never again be able to open a newspaper and read about that treacherous, prevaricating, murderous scumbag sitting down for a nice chat with Charlie Rose or attending some black tie affair for a new glossy magazine without choking. Witness what Henry did in Cambodia, the fruits of his genius for statesmanship, and you'll never understand why he's not sitting in the dock at The Hague next to Milosevic." If you can just respond to that. And
yeah, based Anthony. Anthony Bourdain's a real one for that. And a lot of other things with.
Yeah, well, that quote contains more moral and intellectual acuity and intelligence than the entire political establishment, both liberal, both Democrat and Republican. It's a morally correct, it's intellectually correct, and it's more accurate than most diplomatic historians who trade on making Kissinger more morally complicated than he was. In terms of Kissinger's quote himself about Cambodia, there he's playing a little bit of a game. So he's lying. And he carpet bombed Cambodia. The United States massively bombed Cambodia and brought to power within the Khmer Rouge the most extreme clique led by Pol Pot.
So that was what I wanted to wait for there, because there's asking the chat by Late Bloomer Jeff, is this related to Pol Pot? So yes, by doing that carpet bombing campaign in Cambodia, the Khmer Rouge were able to get in power. Here's a little bit from the Washington right here. This is going to come out. But historians have widely credited the U.S. bombing campaign that Henry Kissinger led. Historians have widely credited the U.S. bombing campaign with contributing to the rise of the totalitarian Khmer Rouge regime, which carried out a host of atrocities during its 4-year rule, including the genocide of minority groups. An estimated 2 million people, or about 1 in 4 Cambodians at the time, were killed under the Khmer Rouge, led by dictator Pol Pot, the one who said, "If they're wearing glasses, kill them." Of 5 million survivors, a quarter live with trauma, say local. So yeah, it has directly. I almost made it.
When you massively bomb a country and you destroy all opposition, you tend to bring to power the extremists, and that's exactly why Kissinger is responsible to a large degree for the genocide that happened later on under Pol Pot. The bombing brought to power Pol Pot within the Khmer Rouge, which previously was a larger, broader coalition. But Kissinger isn't wrong when he links it to Obama's bombing of Pakistan. That was the point I was trying to make earlier. Kissinger just had to do it illegally covertly back then because it was illegal. It was against international law to bomb third countries, in order to advance your war aims in another country. But now it's accepted as commonplace, and it is true. He's not wrong when he cites Obama's drone program and what Obama the continuation of the logic of the war on terror that started under George W. Bush. He's not wrong about that, and that's the line that's one of the lines that you can trace from Vietnam and Cambodia and South Asia to today's catastrophe that will.
Yeah. So the point that was made in Henry Kissinger's defense was that, oh well, Obama's doing more killing. It's a really cruel game, but it has to be said that, like, just like I said, Dick Cheney and because Henry Kissinger. There's you stand on tops the killers that came before, especially when you're doing the type of realist international politics mindset that Henry Kissinger. I don't mean realist as in the, oh well, Henry Kissinger was just being realistic about the world. I mean, there's certain types of views, like the classical liberalism, conservatism, Marxism, and there's different schools of thought for how countries get along. Back from the Middle Ages all the way up to the modern era. I have to sneak. But I'm not. But there's different schools of thought in internet. And so Henry Kissinger's school is realism, which tends to be the view that international politics is some game. And you have to be the biggest and the baddest and the strongest, and you have to be one in order to not just like rule the world per se, but also make sure that things happen on your terms and the things are in the best interest. If you're sharing that power, or if you're number two, you're inherently in a perspective losing the game. So yeah. Trying to think. International relations. So you have realism, neorealism, which are kind of, have liberalism, which is like, yeah, I'm trying to like it basically says that like the state should dictate how with the world. There's constructivism, which kind of states that international politics should be shaped by persuasive ideas, collective values, culture, social life. It's sort of Marxist, but like not quite. And there's like a global history. Like that'll be a different. That's hard. Like international relations was something I focused on in college and like wrote many papers on. So that's a PowerPoint episode. Really hard. And Bam and I are gonna. Like if y'all really want to, Bam and I will do some like Michael Brooks Left Reckoning style lessons. Hell, I'll have the Left Reckoning guys on and we can do this. They're some really smart people. And we will really, really get on when it comes to international relations. And teaching about that stuff that people don't really know. Let me see. Yeah, Henry Kissinger is bad. But sorry, the point of that, I have not been back. The point of that is that Henry Kissinger and what he did, especially breaking the precedent that you're not allowed to engage in any sort of military operation for the country you're not at war with, that you have not declared war. America just said, well, yeah, we're the biggest and the baddest, especially after World War II, where we're rebuilding Europe. We've forced Japan and, a lot of East Asia to be allied with us. We've got the rest of East Asia and Southeast Asia afraid of us. We're looting Central America and South America for resources. We're looting the continent of Africa for resources. We're turning the Europeans into like our model with the West and rebuilding after World War II. Like I said, America feels like it's not. And so they felt the rules didn't apply to them. Much like we talk about police in the United States, they felt the rules just don't apply to them. They do whatever they want to. And any disrespect of a police officer is justifiable for immediate sentence to death. Death by the government. And that mindset comes directly from Henry. And so when you see Republican presidents talk about Donald Trump talking about indiscriminate bombing, or you see someone like Joe Biden supporting an indiscriminate bombing Israel is doing on an international relations, back to like international relations theory in school, but also to what we're seeing with the death of Henry. It is a direct result of norms that Henry Kissinger himself created. Think about that. Feisty Geisty said, I'm still watching gruesome news. Hey, Bloom. Sorry, you're not taking it. Soul Life saying this is the most on-topic chat I've seen. Yeah, and I should take you to Cambodia when I go again in April. Pay for your... Be in touch. I would be... Yeah, I've never... But yeah, be in touch. Watching and streaming it. Yeah, I've never been. Sorry you had to hear it, but... No, but it's also... I not my... Especially if I'm like... Oh, Feisty Guys, he's saying you're behind, but want to say hi. Good to see you. I say enjoy the debate section. I know that behind. But yeah. What other like backdrop? That's something. Oh, okay, yeah, chat's still working. That when my mic was breaking, probably because I was like moving a little far away from it, flipping a little bit. Here's a nice clip. I want to hear. Let's just go down memory lane. Do something nice. Bernie Sanders and Henry Kissinger. Like in context, this should be a lot different, or like mean a lot for folks.
Where the secretary and I have a very profound difference. In the last debate, and I believe in her book, very good book, by the way, in her book and in this last debate, she talked about getting the approval or the support or the mentoring of Henry Kissinger. Now, I find it rather amazing because I happen to believe that Henry Kissinger was one of the most destructive secretaries of state in the modern history of this country. I am proud to say that Henry Kissinger is not my friend. I will not take advice from Henry Kissinger. And in fact, Kissinger's actions in Cambodia, when the United States bombed that country, overthrew Prince Sihanouk, created the instability for Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge to come in, who then butchered some 3 million innocent people, one of the worst genocides in the history of the world. So count me in as somebody who will not be listening to Henry Kissinger.
That rocked. like, folks, that rocked. And I'll show you the clip that was from Democracy Now! Just today. This is Hillary Clinton walking up on stage Oh, I thought this was funny. This is just Kissinger like asleep. But yeah, this is earlier. This is younger Hillary Clinton and younger Henry Kissinger. And Hillary's accepting an award, and it's like going in for like the little kiss thing. Like, that is the difference between a person like Bernie Sanders, who, you know, we've been really upset with his sort of movement right now and slowness to call for a ceasefire. But there is still a difference between someone like that who will speak to the plights of the traumas of those who are international, who can't even vote for president but are very affected by American foreign policy, and will call that out and very speak against that, even though those are the very, very tops of American power and prestige, as Henry Kissinger was treated as and is thought of as in a lot of the halls of power for people, but also in the legacy that Henry Kissinger left, which is that's what you want to do. Henry Kissinger, Secretary of State. Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State. Hillary Clinton's role was not to change the script too far from what Henry Kissinger had laid out. I mean, one thing that's been argued to bring this really close to today, one thing that's been argued about the Israel versus Palestine situation is that, well, instead of indiscriminately bombing all of these different places, what Israel could do is like an Osama bin Laden raid style situation where they go in, since apparently they know where a lot of these caves are, the Gaza metros they call it, and some of these they even constructed themselves and meant to construct them themselves, including the Al-Aqsa Hospital, the one that was supposedly underneath that. Why can't they just go in, send an elite team of guys, and kill some heads of Hamas or something like that? And why can't they do surgical strikes like that instead of the precision, instead of the indiscriminate sort of bombing? And you think of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama in that famous photo of the bin Laden raid, where they're watching it from a camera, and you see Obama and Hillary. Keep in mind, this happened. Let's go what was talked about. This happened in Pakistan, which is a country that America was not at war with, did not declare war with. But America, because it's America, decided, hey, there's a guy there we don't like. Maybe the country knows they're there. Maybe they don't. It's okay. We're going to send our people into your airspace. We're going to be allowed. You're not going to tell us no. We're going to go in there in the dead of night. We're going to go override your local police. We're going to override your local military. We're going to go in. We're going to kill the guy we want to. We're going to bring his body out. We're going to confirm we killed him. We're going to bury him under the ocean. We're going to leave your country, and you're not going to do a damn thing about it. Because if you even speak out about it, we'll send troops down. If you try to hurt our troops, we'll nuke you. Oh, but you're not at war with Pakistan. We don't care. We're America. That is the precedent that Henry Kissinger set. That Hillary Clinton, literally in this photo, was following in the footsteps of. Now, ultimately, I prefer that compared to, oh, we think he's in Pakistan, so let's bomb every hospital or school that we think, like Al-Qaeda or whatever terrorist group is hiding under, right? So, like, this is preferable, but this is still a precedent that America would not accept. America would not accept if, you know, Canada, it would be a joint operation. But America would not accept if China came into the United States and killed someone they were looking for, right? You know what? Maybe it's a bad guy, a stereotypical bad guy, quote unquote. Maybe it's someone who, not an American citizen, conducting crimes or whatever, and they were conducting murders, and they were big official, and it was important for the Chinese officials to get him or whatever, right? America would not tolerate that a or even allow a foreign helicopter or a vessel to come into Oregon, fly over Portland, go somewhere, kill a guy, bring his body out, go in a helicopter, and then fly back, and then like take a ship or a boat all the way back to China. We just wouldn't do that. America would not allow that. America would go to probable nuclear war. There might be tactical nukes. There would be a lot of carpet bombing. It would escalate so quickly. America wants to do that? Yeah, absolutely, of course. They're America. They get to do that. It's Team America World Police. The reasoning, we all kind of know this. It's why we're on the left. We oppose this foreign policy. The reasoning, Henry Kissinger. Why is this happening? Henry Kissinger. So, yeah. Bad lefty saying rip Gaddafi. Absolutely. Absolutely. Gaddafi was a friend of the United States until he wasn't. Look that up. That's another power report. Bam's got a lot on that. Really thank you all for being here. Kind of starting to wind down a little bit. Trying to think of what happened that I might think about in let me check my usual. By sources, I mean the messages that I'm sending to folks on the team internally. And shout out to the audio face, the Power Report team really quickly. Shout out to Sachi, who's gonna be on with the debate and talked with us here, but couldn't make it again. But thank you. Shout out to Ravana, who was on earlier. Shout out to Bam, C's, Sean, who was in chat earlier. Shout out to Sean. All the folks on the Power Report team making it happen. The Audio Face team as well. Join.syndicate23.co to help be a part of that. And yeah, no news there. If there's chat, is there anything you want to kind of go over? Any videos you want to go over? I'm down to do one more video, one more. That kind of thing. There's the Eric Adams stuff that happened Friday of last week. So it feels like it was a long time ago because it happened after this Power Report, but it was very funny. I mean, like, not funny because these serious allegations, but Eric Adams, who sees himself as untouchable, got his phone seized by the FBI. His friends are being toppled over and looked over. It's nice to see that man go down. Definitely. Y'all in chat and fun. Jeff saying, I love but hate this country. Bad lefty, white shirt. I was teasing about him. Went to the auto show. Teasing him. So was his girlfriend. Everyone's talked about Elon Musk's, like, you know, his little throwing a fit saying, oh, if you don't want to advertise with me, F off or whatever. I know. I'm not going to play that clip because I kind of just described it. But I did mention the car show. Cybertruck just launched, and I think it's a really funny failure. So, let's watch to round out here. Let's see some things about the Cybertruck. It's gonna be like oh yes, there's some really funny parts in here because there used to be before you all quit. There was an infamous test that Elon Musk did where he tried to throw like a metal ball or something. Let me play it here. He tried to throw like a metal ball.
Franz, could you try to break this glass, please? Yeah. Sure? Yeah. Oh my fucking god. Well, maybe that was a little too hard.
Oh my fucking god.
Fucking god. Well. Oh my fucking god. Well.
So it was like this metal ball that you threw at a windshield, which is obviously like how it works. Right? That's how glass works. So if you look today, they redid that test because that's how Elon be. And let's see how that went.
Now, you may remember an incident 4 years ago.
By the way, people were told this car was going to be coming like, in 1 or 2 years. It's been 4 years. It's been 4 years of this.
Didn't quite go as planned. And, Franz, maybe we should try it again. Yeah, great. I mean, I think we could probably have a pro pitcher love it if it still work. You don't have to worry about like rocks hitting the glass and cracking the glass. This glass is basically rock proof. It's also.
I mean, it is on most cars. You can have glass break. Some people drive behind cement trucks and their glass breaks. Debris on the freeway. It happens. But yeah, this is kind of sad. You'll also notice it was a baseball. The other time it was it was a big hunk of metal, kind of hard to see. This other clip.
Yeah.
1080p doesn't matter. But you see it's sort of shiny, the thing he has over here. It's a metal ball.
Sure? Yeah. Oh my fucking god.
And the closed captioning kind of like misses it here, but yeah, that's a metal ball, right? And you hear the way it thunks, it's a metal ball. The thing they're throwing over here is a baseball. You'll see it like in mid-air here, but I double click. You know what I need to do? I need to go frame by frame. Super slow-mo. Sorry to give you, but you will see right here, that's white. That's white. You can see some red stripes right there, so that's a baseball this time. Dude. Oh, man. I love this comment. Yeah, that won't make it through a protest. The Cybertruck's got some sharp edges, so I don't love that part of it. But it's very notable that for the test, they didn't do another metal ball, because that was just a failure. Elon Musk set himself up for who. Not like someone wasn't warning you about this the whole myself. I was right about Elon Musk. But yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting. They also posted this.
In movies, you sometimes see the hero or heroine hiding behind the car door while being shot with bullets. That doesn't actually work unless you're driving a Cybertruck. And so people say like, well, why'd you make it bulletproof? I'm like, why not? Now you may remember.
Yeah, I think someone does a test where like they're shooting bullets at the Cybertruck. You'll know that Elon Musk is not like, and to test it, I am going to get into the car and have them shoot bullets at me, and we're gonna see if guess what's. I mean, if he wanted to try it, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't be like, oh no, hey man, don't do that. That's no good. No, stop. Please. Don't test the car. I'm also seeing the mic problem where I'm cutting out. 1 second. Open. One. Okay. 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 Sorry, I'm trying to make sound tests as I know what y'all came here for. So I'm more than happy to deliver. I don't get why I'm being clipped to a certain rate here. Could just be how I'm plugged in? No. Hopefully that's not the issue. Maybe that is. Maybe that's not. Whee! Okay. Sorry, I probably sound like I'm going crazy doing all these audio tests. I'll do it probably after the show. It's probably a good time for me to end it if I'm having this many issues with my audio. But yeah. This is a failure. Elon Musk's a failure. You know what? I'm probably going to do that now. Because I want to fix this audio to make sure it sounds good for future streams. Anyways, with that, thank you all for joining me on this show. I'm just going to speak really closely to the mic so you get the best audio possible. Thank you for joining me on this show. You can find me on other platforms by just going to danfromtheinter.net. That is danfromtheinter.net. I will say it again, and I'll put it right here. danfromtheinter.net. From there, you'll see where I am on TikTok, where I am on YouTube, where I am on Threads, and all the other different things like that. So thank you all for watching and being on. I appreciate you. The power is always within you. Like I said, I wouldn't have believed that so many opinions would shift on the Israel-Palestine situation, but you can do it. We've done it. And let's continue fighting. It's important to fight. So, Late Bloomer, thank you for being on. Been missing you as well. Thank you for saying that. Gonna get on my game 2024. Yeah, you're gonna love it. All right. Ending things on all sides now. Good night and good luck.